mean just...
Hey, everybody. Welcome. It is 7:05?
7:05.
We just can't start on time, can we? I apologize for that. Had something I had to take care of just now. But we're here. And we are No Bones About Wrestling, and this is AEW Weekly at our new time. I'm your host, Asa. I'm getting ready to be joined by my permanent co-host, Kay Fabulous. And this is our first show at our new time. Tuesday at 7 p.m. is where we're going to be from now on. We think there's a bigger audience here on Tuesdays, and here comes Kay now.
Hey, Asa.
Hey, how's it going?
Pretty good. Second day of school.
Yep.
In the books.
So yeah, we just moved to Tuesdays. We've noticed that when we do the show on Tuesdays, there's a bigger audience, and then plus it's just it seems a little easier for our personal lives. You know, everybody's tired on Mondays. I just think if we do the show on Tuesdays, we'll have a little better. I don't know. We'll be a little bit more with it, is what I'm trying to say.
I'm always with it.
Won't be as exhausted come Monday night.
I see.
But yeah, it's AEW Weekly. So tonight, we're covering last week's Rampage, last week's Collision. If you want to hear about last week's Dynamite, which we were at, you can listen to our show from August 8th. We covered it. We had a big show. We had a 3-hour show on Thursday. So yeah, I covered 2 Dynamites, a Rampage, and a Collision. So if you want to hear that show, that's August 8th. It was a 3-hour show. We're not going to do that again. We're trying to go a little shorter. We're trying to keep it an hour and a half to 2 hours at the most.
And this one will definitely be shorter because we're talking about 2 shows instead of 3.
Well, we are going to look ahead towards All In a little bit. So,
okay.
And then we'll talk a little bit about Dynamite tomorrow night also. If you can get a computer out at some point later, we can look at the card.
I have already pulled up the card.
Oh,
I am
good.
prepared.
Look at you. So, first, though, we always do the TV report. And if you've been watching us lately, you know, we do it in a way different way now. We go a lot faster so we can get to, really discussing some things we want to discuss instead of, just telling you everything that happened on TV.
Mm-hmm.
If you miss the shows and you want to read everything that happened, AEW's website does a great job of recapping the shows. They tell you everything that happened. But we just like to hit the high points and, like I said, move on to doing other stuff and, our top 5 and Kay's fashion and all that fun stuff we do.
Before I get started.
Yes.
One thing I
want... an announcement of some sort?
No.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's not an announcement. Mm-hmm. So, as Asa mentioned, we were at Dynamite last week.
And the Rampage taping.
And the Rampage taping, which is why before you get to the Rampage results, I feel like it's important to note they put the matches out of order on television than the order in which we saw them happen in person. Mm-hmm. And it was such a weird decision. Mm-hmm. Because for us, the main event was Darby Allin versus The Butcher.
Which was the best match on the show, on Rampage.
By far the best match on Rampage. And on television, the main event was Nyla Rose versus Saraya, which was a garbage match.
It was not good at all.
And I'm a fan of Nyla Rose, and it just wasn't good. It did not have the crowd behind it. Later on, we can talk about what possible reasoning could there have been to do that.
Well, I think I know, but we'll talk about it later if you want to.
Yeah. And if you have your own thoughts and ideas, feel free to throw them in the chat.
Yeah, we always love to talk to you in the chat. Just if you agree with us, great. If you disagree with us, great. But we just talk about AEW here. No other companies. I mean, maybe some indies, but no other real big companies or anything like that. Just AEW.
Just come out and say it. We don't talk about WWE.
Yeah, we don't like WWE, so we don't talk about it. We talk about it. It's hard to do a wrestling show and not talk about it. We talk about it as little as we can.
Yes.
And I'll probably talk about old school WWF more than WWE, I think.
Yeah. But anyway,
I had something else I was going to say, but I forget now. Oh, yeah, about the chat. Yeah, get at us, talk to us. We love talking to you. Just be polite, be nice, if you're not nice, we're not going to read your stuff on the air, and you'll probably get kicked out. So, just like I said, we'll talk to you. Just be a nice person. You ready? TV report.
I was born ready.
Yeah. All right. AEW Rampage results. Show aired August 9th, and it was taped August 7th in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and we were there. And so I'm going to read them the order that they were on television. Darby Allin pinned the Butcher after a coffin drop. Butcher really just beat the shit out of Darby Allin this whole match. Darby maybe hit one move and 2 coffin drops and ended up winning somehow, yeah?
Yeah, can I ask you a question about that real quick?
What?
Is it becoming too formulaic? Like, is Darby's matches now becoming the Acclaimed matches when they were with Daddy Ass, where it's like the exact same scenario every time? Like, someone beats the crap out of Darby Allin for like 10 minutes straight, and then he gets a little momentum, coffin drop, boom, it's over.
I mean, I think so, but a lot of times in wrestling, the formula is what people want to see, and the formula is what works.
Yeah.
And it's just like TV shows, like we were just watching, House, the show about the doctor.
Yeah.
First 2 years of it were pretty much the exact same. Somebody gets sick with some mysterious illness, they try to fix it. They have one suggestion, which just makes it worse. They have another suggestion, which just makes it worse, and then finally they get the result right, and the patient's saved.
Yeah.
So even though it was the exact same show every week, that show was still awesome.
It was awesome. I prefer the old formula
at the beginning, and then they stopped doing the formula. But yeah,
Although-
just for instance, and in wrestling, just an example, think about Hulk Hogan, the most popular wrestler of all time, whether you like him or not, the most popular wrestler of all time. Did the same stuff from like 1983 to 1996, and people, by and large, loved it. Made him a very rich man. So in wrestling, yeah, a lot of times people love the formula,
Is it like when you go to a concert, like, and you know the band, but only from the radio? So, like, you don't care about the other songs on their album. Or like any of their new stuff. You just want to hear the stuff that you like grew up listening to. Is that the same kind of thinking?
I don't know if it's quite the same. I think just people, wrestling is best when the guys or gals, play to their strengths and play to their opponent's strengths as well. So if you're a good seller, like Darby Allin, or like Randy Savage, did the same thing. Like, name 10 moves Randy Savage had. You can't, because he didn't have them. Because every match he had was him getting the ever-loving shit kicked out of him for 9 minutes, and then him nailing a couple punches, nailing a double axe handle, and then hitting an elbow drop and winning. And that worked for him for many years. And like I said, he's playing to his strengths. He's a great seller. And so people love to see, Macho Man in peril. People loved him. And like I said, it worked, So, I don't know. It's a matter of opinion, really. Now, I don't like it when things get too predictable.
Yeah.
But like I said, I think I'm in the minority of wrestling fans. I think a lot of people like to see the formula, and then the idea kind of the matches is putting one guy's formula versus the other guy's formula,
I hate that though. I like it when, especially when the commentators, I'm having a hard time with that word, when they get like in on the description of like, oh, they must have watched some tapes of this wrestler's old matches because of these changes they've made to their style to fit this opponent. Like, I like that. I like it when they're like adaptive to the situation.
Yeah,
it just makes it so much more interesting to me.
No, I mean, I agree with you, but like I said, I think we're in the minority there. That's a good question.
Thanks.
I don't think we think about things like that a whole lot in pro wrestling. Okay, back to the TV report.
Sorry.
Darby Allin pinned the Butcher after a coffin drop. Pretty good match. Butcher, I really like him. His offense looked good. Like I said, he kicked the shit out of Darby. And on the live show, this was the final match, and then afterwards, Darby, who was really over with the crowd. People like him because he's legit. Seems like a legit guy. After the match, he said, "Oh man, the Butcher's tough, and I'm glad to be here. I love North Carolina. Thanks for cheering for me." Blah blah blah. And then like Stokely Hathaway came out and Chris Statlander came out, and they got the crowd to sing "Happy Birthday" to Chris Statlander, which a little weird because she's a heel. And I think then did they beat up Darby?
Yeah.
And they beat up Darby.
They were like, yes.
And then none of this was on television.
Yeah.
And then Willow Nightingale ran in for the save. And then the night ended. Like I said, all this was after the TV taping was over. And then Willow Nightingale and Darby are, victorious in the ring together to end the whole night of wrestling, which was, a 2-hour live Dynamite. Well, it was 2 dark matches, and then a 2-hour live Dynamite, and then a Rampage taping. So we definitely got a good bang for our buck. Even though a couple really good matches, but a couple of matches were shitty.
And parking was included with our tickets. Parking was $20.
Yeah. All right, so Darby Allin beat the Butcher after coffin drop, pinned him. Wheeler Yuta of the Blackpool Combat Club beat Rocky Romero by submission to cattle mutilation is the name of that move.
What?
It was a good match. It was a pretty good match, but the crowd was not into this. Neither of these guys were over at all. People were cheering for Wheeler. Rocky Romero got like no reaction at all.
He got a reaction from me.
Private Party beat the Dawsons after hitting Gin and Juice. And this match was about 4 minutes. It seemed longer, but it was 4 minutes long. And the Dawsons are from our local indie company, AML Wrestling, America's Most Liked Wrestling, which is a weird name, I know.
Every time.
But that's what they're called. Well, I always say it because it's a weird name, I know. It's kind of a goofy name, but that's their name. And these guys are probably the most popular tag team in AML, I think. There's 2 big, fat, white dudes, and one has and they both have beards, don't they? Yeah, I think. They both have facial hair.
They both have, and one has like a bald head and one has long hair and a ponytail. They're brothers. I don't know if they're twins. They look a lot alike.
I don't know if they're brothers. They could be cousins. Are they brothers?
No, dude. Those are brothers.
Okay.
Unless their genes are like super tangled together in weird North Carolina ways.
That doesn't happen in North Carolina a whole lot nowadays.
Just saying.
But anyways, they're the most popular tag team in AML. And when they walked out, we marked out pretty hard. We were like, there's the Dawsons, We'd already seen some AML guys on the show as, playing security guards during a pull-apart brawl. But then the Dawsons came out, and we weren't the only people in the audience who recognized them. AML does most of their shows in the Carolinas and does about half of their shows in Winston-Salem, I'd say.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of people recognized the Dawsons, and you could tell that they were a little shocked by how many people in the crowd knew who they were. And there were even like, at one point, there were 2 different Dawsons chants at once. People couldn't get on the same page, but there were enough people to be chanting for the Dawsons. And I tell you, they looked really good. I mean, this was the biggest match of their career. Obviously, they're on national television.
That's the best we've ever seen them.
And yeah,
for sure.
I didn't used to really care for them. But the last time we saw them in AML, they were pretty good. And here on TV, it was the best I've ever seen them. They were selling well. They were hitting their offense well. It was a good little short match. And so yeah, man, good for them. I was really happy to see them. That was maybe my favorite moment of the whole night. Honest, the MJF and Kyle Fletcher match on Dynamite was awesome. But my favorite moment, honestly, might have been seeing these 2 local guys get their shot on Rampage. The main event of Rampage live, like I said, was Darby Allin beating the Butcher. On the show, though, they edited it differently, and the main event was Saraya, she was women's champ, wasn't she? Was she? No.
Yes, she wanted it all in last year.
Okay.
Remember how mad we were?
Battle of 2 former women's champs, Saraya versus Nyla Rose. Saraya pinned Nyla Rose as Harley Cameron held Rose's leg. And that match was not good. And for some reason, well, we'll talk about it later. They chose for that to be the main event on TV. On to AEW Collision, Arlington, Texas, August 10th. They were in that E-Sportatorium or whatever it's called.
Sports arena.
Which is a pretty small place, but they sold it out like, whatever, 3-4 times in a row. They've done a number of, has it been all Collision?
It's been all Collision and Ring of Honor.
Oh, right. They've done a number of shows there. I'm not sure why they did so many, but they've done a number of shows there. And like I said, they sold it out every time. It's a small place. But the crowds were pretty good. Starting off the show, makeshift tag team, Darby Allin and the awesome Hologram. And again, I'll tell you, if you haven't seen Hologram wrestle yet, look up some of his matches. He's had about 4 matches, and he's astounding. Darby and Hologram beat the Premier Athletes. It was Tony Nese and Josh Woods. They were accompanied by Smart Mark Sterling and Ari Daivari. Hologram pinned Josh Woods with a crucifix pin. This match, 3.5 bones out of 5. It was just, it was just a bit one-sided, a bit too one-sided to get rated any higher than that. Up next, we had a Texas Bull Rope match between former Women's World Champion Thunder Rosa and Deonna Purrazzo, and this was good. Both ladies were bleeding by the time it was over. Thunder Rosa pinned Deonna Purrazzo after a shoulder breaker. And this match I gave 4.5 bones out of 5. And this was the match of the night for Collision. And this is your AEW match of the week. Thunder Rosa over Deonna Purrazzo. And I can't tell you the last time we picked a women's match for match of the week.
Is this including Dynamite?
No.
Okay. I was just making sure that
Rampage and Collision.
I was making sure they knew that.
Yeah.
I knew that.
Like I said, if you want to see us talk about last week's Dynamite, look for our August 8th show.
I just didn't want them to think that you were saying this match was better than the Kyle Fletcher MJF match.
No, we're just covering Rampage and Collision tonight and talking a little bit about All In and a little bit about tomorrow's Dynamite. Up next, FTR beat the Outrunners after hitting the Shatter Machine. The Outrunners came out and they were pretty funny with their posing and stuff. I like those guys. They got, no offense in. This was a very short squash match, and FTR won.
They did have that awesome promo video, though.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, it looked like it was filmed on, the cameras from when we were growing up, like the VHS tape, honking cameras that, sat on your shoulder, with the little foam eyepiece.
Yeah, just them training and just doing different stuff around town. The kind of wrestling video you might have seen on a larger independent, maybe in the late 80s, early 90s, and it was really well done, and more of those would be cool.
Yeah, and it had
and maybe some wins for the Outrunners might be nice too.
Yeah. And it had such like late 80s transitions between the shots, where it brings it in a square, or it turns.
Very well done. Yeah. Up next is the battle of former La Facción Ingobernables members, failed faction that happened because Jose the assistant got fired. Was it Rush got injured, right? Was that, and somebody else, was that, and Dralistico got injured?
No.
Was he? Yeah.
No, at the time, Rush was the only person that was injured.
Oh.
While Rush was injured, they released Jose the assistant. And Dralistico and Preston Vance remained on the roster, but at least on AEW TV, they had not been using them.
Yeah.
And when Preston Vance came out, I think they said of La Facción Ingobernable.
Really?
I think so.
I didn't hear that.
Because I didn't understand how that was still a thing.
Okay, I didn't hear that. I don't know if it's still a thing or not. Rush pinned Preston Vance after the Bull's Horns, that move where he runs in the corner and drop kicks them. This was a squash match. We don't rate those here. Up next, we had an open challenge eliminator match where world champion Swerve Strickland put out an open challenge. And again, the eliminator matches, if you beat the champion, you get a title shot at some point later on. Swerve, the guy who answered was probably the last guy I'd want to answer it, Tomohiro Ishii. And I know a lot of people love this guy. We don't get it.
We
I
don't get it.
don't care for him. You know, he no sells a lot. He's very slow. His offense doesn't look good.
This
Like I
is
said, I don't get it.
boring.
And I know a lot of people love him. I think a lot of it is for things he did like 10 and 15 years ago. But I think it's time to retire for Ishii, honestly. But Swerve pinned Ishii after hitting a flying foot stomp from the top rope and then hitting the house call. And this match was okay. It was better than I expected, honestly. I gave it 3 bones out of 5. Uh, One of the best matches I've seen Ishii have in AEW, I think.
It was the best match I've seen him have in
So,
AEW.
but they have, we're having this, huge event all in what, 12 days now, where Swerve's taking on Bryan Danielson, and then you have Swerve in the ring and a 50 whatever year old guy like no selling the world champ's offense. Dumb move to me. And online, somebody said something to that effect. One of the larger like AEW accounts said something, and then Rob Van Dam actually commented on that and said, "I want my money back," because yeah, just seeing Swerve hit these forearms right to Ishii's head and him no selling them. What's the point of that? 12 days before this giant show
Yeah.
with world champ. Bad call to me.
Dude, he's totally going to end up on the All In card. They've been using him way too much recently for him to not be on that show.
That stinks.
Maybe it'll be like a conglomeration match and he'll get like surrounded by things that will elevate him.
Up next, former women's world champion Hikaru Shida pinned Aaliyah James after a Falcon Arrow. This was a squash match. We don't rate those. And the main event of Collision, it was a #1 contender match for the World Trios titles. The winner would get a title shot against the Patriarchy at All In, and 1/3 of your Trios champions, Christian, was a special referee. And came out in a turtleneck referee shirt, which is pretty funny. This was a good match, of course. It was between the House of Black and the Bang Bang Gang, being the Guns and
Juice Robinson.
Juice Robinson. And they battled to a draw by double knockout. The Bang Bang Gang, they were down, and most of the House of Black was down, and then Buddy Matthews was getting up, and then Christian speared him, and then finished counting both teams down. So it was a draw according to Christian. So neither team won. So we don't yet have a #1 contender for the World Trios titles. That's 4 bones out of 5. Good match. So pretty, better than Collision was a couple months ago, but a little uneven show. But even like the squashes, seeing the outrunners, that was pretty fun.
The Sheeta squash match.
Seeing Roosh, yeah, the Sheeta squash match was like a minute long or something.
I didn't see the person she was wrestling. Like I blinked and the bell was ringing and it was over. Like I couldn't. They're not in the fashion thing because I couldn't even tell you what they were wearing because I don't remember seeing them. Like it was the fastest match I've ever seen. I'm sure historically it's not the fastest match in wrestling.
It's not,
but it's probably pretty close. Like
it's very fast.
It was crazy fast.
Fastest match I ever saw, I think, was maybe, I think it was maybe WrestleMania 10. Earthquake beat Adam Bomb in like, I don't know, 8 seconds or something like
What,
that.
really?
Yeah.
At a WrestleMania?
I think it was a WrestleMania 10. I think I'm right.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I think WrestleMania 10 went way over time because of one match got canceled, and then the Earthquake Adam Bomb match, like I said, went like 8 seconds or something like that. So I was looking forward to that match and never got to see it. Up next is our segment called Where's This Going? Which is where we take some events from AEW TV this past week and we ask, where's this going? So first off.
But let me listen.
Okay.
Yeah, because these are written in my voice.
Kay came up with the questions
yeah.
for tonight. Usually I do, but she came up with them tonight. So let's see.
Do you think that they are actually trying to build a rivalry and story between Nick Wayne and Kip Sabian, who have a match on Rampage this week? Or is this a one match on Rampage and then go their separate ways type of feud? And what leads you to these beliefs?
Um,
Do you need me to remind you of the build up to this?
no, but maybe you
Okay.
can remind the
Okay.
viewers and
So
listeners.
last week on Collision, well, I guess it's been a few weeks. So Nick Wayne has talked shit to Kip Sabian about his dad being dead because his dad died a few months ago. And so then they were both in the Royal Rampage together, and both of them were eliminated. And then obviously Kip did not take Nick Wayne talking about his dad lightly, and basically told him to like fuck off, and he did not fuck off. And so now he's gonna fuck around and find out.
Yeah, basically. So, I mean, it would be a good basis for a feud.
Mhm.
Do I think they're actually going to do that? Have a feud? I don't. I think.
No.
I mean, I hope they do. I mean,
Yeah.
Nick Wayne, I think he's very good, and I think he's improving. I think he's going to be very good eventually. But he's already pretty good, but he's got room to improve. Um, he's kind of, caught up with the, let's see, RB065 from last
Hey.
week. Says they are definitely building a match for Wembley, especially for the pre-card. Yeah,
See,
I think you, well, but
what?
see,
And he's in the trios titles
yeah,
match.
that's what I was getting ready to say.
Yeah.
His time, Nick Wayne's time, is kind of taken up right now because he's in the Patriarchy, and they're the World Trios champions, and supposedly they're going to face someone, um, at All In for the belt. So I don't know if I don't think that'll be a match at All In.
Although last year's All In, we had MJF and Adam Cole on the pre-show and in the main event.
But
So
but I don't know if Nick Wayne is
it's a big enough name to do that.
yeah, a big enough name to
Yeah.
do double duty on your biggest
Yeah.
show of the year. So, that match isn't scheduled yet, right? Sabian versus Wayne.
It's scheduled for Rampage. That was the other thing that I
Oh,
found shocking.
for
Yeah.
Rampage this week.
Because
Okay,
when they announced it, I like literally yelled out loud, Rampage! Like, what? Like, I mean,
Rampage is a good show.
no,
It's
no, no.
been getting
Okay.
better too.
The two stories that they have smushed onto Rampage, the first one that comes to mind that infuriates me is when Ortiz and Santana were feuding after they both returned
Yeah,
and told everyone that they were not going to be proud and powerful anymore. Everything for their feud happened on Rampage. And I get they want people to watch Rampage, but no one's going to tune into Rampage for just that, but people still want to see it, you know? It's frustrating. Like they finally had a good story for those two and it wasn't on one of the two main shows. I feel like it's an insult to those wrestlers. And now they're doing the same thing with Kip Sabian, who I feel like has been so underutilized. And now that he finally has a story going, it's happening on Rampage. And I get that like Rampage has kind of been his show, but I think that's unfortunate all on its own. But to put his like first kind of big story in forever solely on Rampage, I don't care for it.
I hear you. And just one thing I want to add real quick. Rampage last week it surpassed WCW Thunder, which used to be their B show. It surpassed Thunder as far as how long it's lasted. So congratulations to AEW for that one.
Nice.
But yeah, I hear you. Kip Sabian deserves better, but he hadn't been around for a while, so I think starting him on Rampage, it might be fine, and hopefully he's going to be back on the big shows, Dynamite and Collision. Um,
Who can he join forces with to take down the patriarchy? Because like
I don't think he needs to concern himself with that. I think Kip Sabian is good to be a single star. He's good on the mic.
oh,
I don't think he
absolutely.
needs anyone else.
Yeah, no, I agree with you in that regard. But I'm saying for the story that they've put him in, he is going up against a person who has three people backing him.
Yeah.
So him going in alone leaves him way more open to like I'm not saying he needs to join a faction, but even if it's just like a temporary like you hate Christian, I hate Nick Wayne, let's just take them down at the same time. kind of a thing, like not a forever alliance, just some backup to be like, hey, during your match, I won't let Christian Cage come and fuck with you and Nick Wayne.
Mm-hmm.
I just logistically, it would make sense to
Yeah.
me.
And here, real quick, RB065 says they do have a Dynamite/Rampage show in Wales, right? In Cardiff, is that right?
Yeah, Cardiff. Yeah.
He says you can have the second match there. Yeah, I mean that'd be
That's good,
great.
yeah,
I
yeah.
agree. I mean, like I said, I don't know if they're doing a feud, but both of these guys are good in the ring, and I feel like we don't really get a chance to see what both of them can do a whole lot. So yeah, I would love to see a couple matches between the two.
And they're both pretty good on the mic. Like I know they
Yeah.
put Nick Wayne with Christian, but
Yeah.
I feel like he was pretty solid on his own,
Yeah.
like as his own mouth.
There's Antonio saying hello.
Hey,
Hey,
Antonio.
Antonio. Thanks for joining us.
All right, you ready for the next? Where is this going?
Yes.
Okay. Is Roosh defeating Preston Vance Tony's way of putting the final dagger in La Faction Ingobernable? Or was it Callus's way of making him prove he has no other loyalties?
What? Say what? It's Callus's way. I didn't get the question. It's Callus's way of showing who?
So the question is about Roosh,
Yes.
who used to be a member of
Oh,
La
I got you. I got you. I got it. I'm sorry.
Okay.
So Roosh, right now
Yeah.
a member of the Callis family,
Yes.
which I keep forgetting for some reason.
Yeah.
Well, part of it is Don Callis didn't come out with them. I don't like how they have have people managing these guys and they don't come out with them.
Yeah. Weirdly, he watched it on the TV from the back, didn't he? Or was that the MJF Fletcher match that he was watching from the back?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Antonio says he has great news. I don't know if he's talking about our news, but he says he has great news. So I don't know. Share it with us.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think this was the nail in the coffin for La Faction and Gobernable. Like we said a minute ago, Jose the assistant got fired. Dralistico was nowhere to be seen. Roosh is with the Callis family. Preston Vance seemingly on his own. And I read the other day, I think CMLL, I think they actually own the rights to the name La Faction Ingobernable. So
What?
that's what I read. I'm not sure how much truth there is to that, but um, that may be another reason we're seeing it go away in AEW. I'm sure CMLL is fine with them maybe using the name and stuff, but maybe they're just not because of that fact. But I think it's over. I think it's time to move on. I think Roosh is in a good spot. That guy is very good. He's passionate. You can tell, and he's very good in the ring, and he's a good heel.
Mm-hmm.
And I think him being in the Callis family is a good spot,
Yeah.
definitely for him.
What doesn't make sense though is when they started have it like when on AEW the La Faction and Gobernable formed, they weren't partnering with CMLL yet. They were partnering with AAA. So why would they let them use the name when they were partnering with their rival company in Mexico, but then not let them use it when they're partnering with them?
I don't know. Maybe they're just nice guys and change their mind. I don't know.
Weird. Okay.
So Antonio here says real quick tomorrow on Dynamite TBS Women's Title match, Mercedes Moné defending against Hikaru Shida. It's gonna be good, and we're gonna talk about tomorrow's Dynamite card in just a little bit here.
The next question and last question, because we don't have very many shows to talk about today. So
I can come up with more questions.
What is going on with the trios and tag belts? Are we headed to 2 3-way matches at All In? They're not going to do that, right? Like have 2 3-ways?
I don't know, but I will tell you what my feelings about the team title belts. The World Tag Team titles, the Young Bucks still have them. They've been missing on television. Them and
Okada.
Thank you, Okada, have been missing from television for weeks now. People say the rumor is their contracts say they have a limited number of dates that they'll wrestle, and they already wrestled a lot in 2024. So now they're just taking time off so that they don't spend all their dates before the year is over. And real quick, going back to what we were just talking about, RB065 points out, AEW also stopped using Bullet Club. Bullet Club Gold is what they were called, which is a hell of a lot better name than the Bang Bang Gang, if you ask me. Bang Bang Gang sounds kind of immature. Bullet Club Gold sounds like some guys who are going to kick your ass. That's just my thoughts on it. But they did stop using that. And I'm not sure if someone in Japan owns the rights to Bullet Club or what the deal was, but they stopped using it, unfortunately. Going back to what we were saying though about the tag team titles, Young Bucks still off TV. The Acclaimed are the #1 contenders, and they're getting a shot tomorrow night on Dynamite. The shot that they earned like a month ago or something by beating the Young Bucks in a non-title match. But of course, FTR have pretty much put themselves in place as, I think, the #2 contenders for the tag titles.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Are we going to have a 3-way for the tag belts? I don't know. I mean, the Acclaimed, they're popular. I feel like they definitely need to be on the All In card, and FTR deserves to be on the card as well. And if they're not going to be in a tag title match, maybe they could face each other, but then I don't know what the Young Bucks would do. Maybe a trios match with Okada. I don't know.
Well, because that's the weird thing too, is Okada is gonna face Claudio before All In also.
Yeah.
So now he doesn't have a match either.
Right. Yeah.
That's super
We're going to see a number of matches added to All In.
I'm sure, yeah.
I'm sure Okada will be there. I'm sure the Young Bucks will be there. I'll be really surprised if they're not.
I just feel like how they've been building the feud between the Acclaimed and FTR won't make any sense if it's not a triple threat,
Yeah, but the Acclaimed have the title match tomorrow night. So what do you think? What's going to happen there? Like a screw job ending or something?
I think there's going to be something fishy, or FTR is going to come out and somehow cost them, not intentionally necessarily, but something to make it so the match has to happen again, but this time with FTR there also.
So you think no way the Acclaimed to win the belts tomorrow night?
No way are they going to win the belts tomorrow night.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I mean, if they do, awesome. I would love to be surprised, but I would find that really surprising, shocking.
So I don't know. I think it's 50-50. Part of me, it does look like we're headed towards a 3-way match for the belts. And again, I think last week I said maybe a tornado tag, which might be fun, where all 6 guys are legal at once. That might be a pretty interesting match. Could be a mess, but it could be fun. But I halfway think that, and I halfway think they're not going to do a triple threat tag match. So like I said, I'm iffy on this. I really don't know.
I had another idea.
Okay.
What if on the 0 hour, FTR faces the Acclaimed to determine who's wrestling in the main show for a shot at the titles? That seems something sketchy that the Young Bucks as EVPs would make the team that they have to face do, have them have another match already that same night, so they're all tired and slimy EVP move, possibly.
Yeah, I think that would be a great idea. And we get two good tag matches out of it too. I think so. Yeah, that'd be cool if they do something like that, and anything that they could do to get the Young Bucks sliminess over, and I think they especially need to get them over as jerks a little bit more, since they've been gone from TV for so long.
Yeah.
So we need to reestablish that they're, abusing their power. And I think that'd be a great way to do it. So yeah, that's a good idea.
Thanks.
As far as the World Trios titles, that also, with the #1 contenders match ending in a draw because of Christian, that also looks like we're maybe headed towards a triple threat match. But I don't know, honestly, I don't know how you pull off a 3 versus 3 versus 3 match. I'm not sure if I don't think I've ever seen one.
Oh, really?
3 versus 3 versus 3? I really don't think so. But, I mean, they could do it, I mean, everybody in that match would be skilled. One thing that I'm not sure if maybe the trios titles won't even be on the line. You know, Kill Switch is injured, I believe. I'm not sure if he's still injured.
They said he could work through it.
Oh,
We
okay.
reported that.
But he
He has
hasn't.
a torn bicep.
Okay, but he hasn't wrestled since they won the belts, right?
Well, he also doesn't have a belt. He is not one of the trios champions, according to Christian. Mother Wayne is one of the trios champions. So I assume whoever's facing them is facing Mother Wayne, Nick Wayne, and Christian.
And
So that'd be
Antonio, real
interesting.
quick, pointing out, yeah, like we said, 2 title matches. Dynamite looks pretty good tomorrow night. The tag title match and the TBS title match. And like I said, we're going to talk about Dynamite in just a little bit here. But yeah, for the triple threat belts, I don't know. You know, like I said, we got House of Black, the Bang Bang Gang, you know, and the champs, the Patriarchy. What are they going to do? I hate to give you that answer. I just don't know. I don't
Yeah.
see them. They don't usually do triple threat tag matches, and they've never done a triple threat trios match.
Mm-hmm.
So I just don't know how it's gonna
Yeah.
work out.
Well, plus too,
But
like
it does it does definitely seem like the trios titles will be defended at All In.
yeah.
I'm not sure.
Well, they've already announced it for the card. They were announcing it as
Yeah.
like the Patriarchy versus the winner of blah 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 versus blah blah blah. You know, and like
Yeah.
they already put it on the card.
The
It
Bang
was
Bang
just-
Gang
yeah.
and House of Black,
Yeah.
they're called.
Yeah, or blah 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 versus blah blah blah. But you know, like if he really did, if Mother Wayne is officially one of the champions,
It's not.
which she totally is.
It's not.
Like, are they going to strip the belts from the Patriarchy and vacate them again? And now all 3 of them are going to have to fight for it?
No way. No way. That's too much of a mess. You know,
Yeah.
would devalue the titles. I don't see that happening at all.
Is Jay White going to come back at some point and have something to do with this? Because he's
I could see him coming back maybe at All In.
yeah,
You know, but
that's what I was
reports
thinking, yeah.
were that his injury wasn't going to keep him out for
Mhm.
very long.
Yeah.
So I would love to see him back. You know, it feels like with Juice being hurt, now Jay White being hurt, we really haven't seen the Bang Bang Gang at full power in quite a while.
Mhm.
And you know, Jay White and Juice both very good, and the Guns are very much improved. It's pretty good stable they've got going, you know, and it can stick together and be a great stable,
Mhm.
I think. Antonio saying Thursday, let's watch Ring of Honor. We don't have the Honor Club, Antonio. I'm sorry. We just don't. We watch a lot of AEW, and we just don't. We only watch the Ring of Honor pay-per-views.
Yeah.
We do watch-alongs for all the Ring of Honor pay-per-views, but the weekly show, maybe at some point we'll watch it. I would love to.
Mhm.
Maybe at some point we'll add that, but just right now, yeah, we don't.
Yeah, we used to cover it, but time-wise, we had to drop it for a while.
Yeah. We try and put our energy into this show, and
Mhm.
we're getting ready to do a lot of things besides this show and put them online. So yeah, we just don't have time right now for Ring of Honor. I hate to say, because I like Ring of Honor. Yeah,
It's about to be spooky season.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and we're gonna be doing some retro Halloween Havoc watch-alongs, and probably some horror movie watch-alongs. Honestly,
We're
but
big horror fans.
yeah, but we'll see. We'll see what we do for Halloween. We'll definitely do something. You know, several things. Yeah, for Halloween.
So those were my where is this going?
That's the where's this going?
Yeah.
Let me see if I have one real quick.
Wait, I have one.
Okay.
Do you think this bull rope, Texas bull rope, was the end for Thunder and Deanna now that we've seen it?
I don't. I think that match was so good.
Yeah, so good.
And they've had several good matches already. What they had 4 or 5 matches against one another.
Yeah, I think other than like the first one where they seem to be like getting a feel for each other, I feel like all of them have been very good, except for that first little rocky start.
Yeah, they've had, like I said, several good matches together.
Yeah.
And this Texas Bull Rope match that Thunder Rosa won on Collision, that was the best of them.
Yeah, for
Like I
sure.
said, 4.5 Bones, match of the week for AEW. Yeah, I think everybody would like to see them wrestle more now. And were we talking about it in private, or were we talking about it on the show last week? What I would like to see. I can't recall.
I can't separate them in my brain.
So maybe it was. I think maybe it was in private. What I was saying is maybe the next step, or maybe how you finish the feud, is do like a 2 out of 3 falls match,
Mhm.
maybe. But I've seen it before where 2 out of 3 falls, you have each fall is a different type of gimmick match. Like maybe the first fall you do a falls count anywhere match. Maybe the second fall you do, I don't know, let's maybe a first blood match. That'd be cool. And maybe the third fall you do an ambulance match where you got to put your opponent on a stretcher and load them in an ambulance to win. I think that would be or something like that. I think if they did that, that would be awesome for the women's division.
That'd be so cool. Plus,
So-
like if they do it in England, I know England's police sirens are different than our police sirens. Are their ambulance sirens different? Because that would be
I'm
super
sure.
fun.
I bet they are. I'm sure.
Yeah, I would like that.
Uh,
Let's do that, Tony.
yeah, but I hope that feud's not over because it seems to keep getting more heated, and
Yeah.
they've definitely ramped up the quality of the matches as well. So Thunder Rosa's been on. Well, she's lost a number of times to Deonna Purrazzo, but her performance and her record before these matches is so good. You got to think she might be in line to take on the winner of Toni Storm and Mariah May at All In. I feel like that.
That'd be nice. I'd be all for that.
All right, and for this week, that has been Where's This Going? So yeah, a little shorter than usual. Like I said, we're just covering Rampage and Collision.
Plus, we'll talk about some other stuff more when we get to the all-in card later.
And coming up right now, we have K Fabulous's Wrestling Fashion Do's and Don'ts, an always popular segment where we talk about what's cool to wear in the wrestling ring and what's not so cool. Do.
If you are appearing in your homeland's neighbor to the north, Texas, do show up sporting a red, white, and blue outfit, wearing some awesome white chaps like Thunder Rosa did on Collision.
Do.
If you are heading into what is sure to be a bloody battle, do wear all white gear so you can show off all that bright red blood like Deonna Purrazzo.
Do.
If you are the face of AEW, do rock a black leather jacket with a rich red fur lapel bigger than Brian Cage's biceps like Swerve Strickland.
Don't.
If your character is trying to climb out of a downward spiral, don't come down to the ring wearing little black panties on the outside of a pair of track pants like Chris Statlander did on Collision. So weird. And they had a zipper in the front, not the track pants. The panties had a zipper.
I'm not sure.
What the hell?
I don't know what she's doing. Yeah.
Ugh.
I don't know. Do.
If you are the father of us all, do make sure we never forget it by wearing a long-sleeved turtleneck ref shirt, as Christian Cage did in Collision's main event.
That's pretty funny. Yeah, for sure.
And that is this week's fashion do's and don'ts.
We appreciate it, Kay, as always. And coming up right now, wait. It's the AEW News Roundup. And we're going to cover the AEW news from last Friday through to today. As soon as Kay pulls it up on the computer here.
It's really as soon as I make sure my computer's not going to die on you.
Oh, okay.
So I might need to plug this in momentarily.
And as I said, coming up in just a couple minutes, we're going to talk about a little about the All-In card and the way it's shaping up. And we're going to talk about tomorrow night's Dynamite card and what we're going to see on that. As well as the top 5 coming up, of course. Well, the top 5s, I should say. All right, this week on the new injury report, the only one we have really is Bryan Danielson. Okay. I guess Kay will be right back with us. The only new injury we have is Bryan Danielson announced that he has to have neck surgery before the end of the year.
He said he will likely have it.
He will likely have it. I'm not sure if that was a kayfabe injury or a real one, but that is something he said on television. All right, now to the news. Deonna Purrazzo addressed the recent Britt Baker MJF backstage incident in a new interview. If you didn't hear about that, Britt Baker supposedly was talking shit about MJF's girlfriend, and MJF, of course, heard it and didn't like it and went to Tony Khan and, what complained, I guess. So speaking with Stephanie Chase, Deonna Purrazzo uh, acknowledged that Baker and MJF incident resulted in Baker being suspended by AEW for 2 weeks, I think it was. She said it sparked a lot of drama, but called it an isolated incident that is not representative of what Purrazzo has experienced in the AEW locker room, which by all accounts is pretty friendly place.
Mhm.
You got a lot of gals and guys working towards, a pretty noble ambition of building a cool company that's
Yeah.
based on, wrestling, not drama and fashion.
What are you saying about fashion?
Nothing about. I'm just saying they're not all about like 2 minute long entrances and stuff.
Yeah.
They want to they get in there and fucking wrestle for us.
Mhm.
That's the way I like it. Amid swirling rumors that he and his brother are heading to WWE, current AEW star Ray Phoenix has pulled out of a September indie appearance due to what is being called, quote, personal circumstances. The El Paso, Texas based New Era Wrestling had booked the 33-year-old Phoenix for a three-way with Dastin, or probably Dastan and Arez for Friday, September 27th. So it kind of leads you to believe that if the stories are true, the Lucha Brothers are headed to WWE sooner rather than later, which is such a bummer. I don't watch a lot of WWE, but I definitely, or any at all now, but I will be, they're two of my favorite wrestlers, so I will be keeping an eye, a little of an eye on what they do with them in WWE,
I wish
which
that
I don't expect that they'll treat them the way they deserve. But we'll see. We'll see.
I'm hoping that they sign short contracts
Yeah.
so that when they don't do with them what they deserve, they can come back to AW and Tony will treat them right, hopefully.
All right. In an interview with Sports Illustrated, Chris Jericho praised the work Swerve Strickland is doing. Jericho said he still can't believe Strickland was released by WWE in 2021. Jericho said this is only his first time as champ, and look what he's doing. Wait until the second time, and the third time, and the fourth time. He has star written all over him, Jericho said. I agree, totally. I don't know how you could ever let that guy go. Swerve and MJF are two guys I watch and always think, how did he pull that off? Swerve's still not even at the peak of his character, and he already has this great connection with the crowd, Jericho noted. Um, Strickland also occupies the role of AEW team captain. But yeah, Swerve definitely over like crazy. I think the two when we went to AEW last Wednesday, the two most over people here were Swerve and Bryan Danielson, which you would hope so because they're at the top of the card.
Mm-hmm.
Leo says, shaking my head. What's up, Leo? What are you shaking your head over?
I had no idea that that's what that stood for.
SMH, shaking my head. I think so, yeah.
I'm not cool. My students would be disappointed in me.
AEW may be reviewing its plans for a special big man match at Revolution earlier this year, which we were at, and it was awesome. One of the best shows I've ever seen, and the best show I've ever seen live, for sure. At Revolution earlier this year, AEW planned to have the first ever Meat Madness match. The match was postponed, and an all-star scramble took place instead. The postponement was because some of the wrestlers Tony Khan wanted to use in Meat Madness weren't available. Khan said that
they were injured.
Yeah.
Yeah. He makes it sound like it was a scheduling issue.
No, yeah, they were injured. Khan said that when there was enough healthy depth, he still really wants to present Meat Madness. AEW has now applied to trademark the term Meat Mayhem.
Do you think some sort of slaughterhouse company has Meat Madness trademarked already, and so he had to go with Meat Mayhem instead?
I don't know. That sounds kind of negative. I don't know why
Oh, like
you would.
like mad
It's
cow
like mad cow
disease.
disease. Yeah.
Uh,
Chris Jericho appeared via video at CMLL's show from Arena, Mexico, and cut a promo directed at Mystico. Jericho said, "Ever since I attacked you just a few weeks ago in Arena, Mexico, the world has been abuzz." Jericho continued, "The first time Chris Jericho appeared in Arena, Mexico in 29 years. Yeah, back when he was a young guy. Chris Jericho was a big star in Mexico when he was Lionheart Chris Jericho. And now, for the first time ever, at the 91st anniversary show, wow, Arena, Mexico, September 13th, 2024. I guess what he's facing Mystico, September 13th? Okay.
I'm sorry, was that not clear?
No, wait, it continues. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
September 13th, 2024, Chris Jericho versus Mystico.
Yeah, okay.
He says, "I've had a lot of classic matches in Arena, Mexico, but in Arena, Mexico, September 13th, Mystico, it's going to be the biggest and most important match of your career. It's going to be the night that Chris Jericho embarrasses you."
Snap. We have to watch that.
Yeah. I would like to watch more CMLL. But yeah, back in the day in Mexico, Chris Jericho was known. I believe he was known as Corazon de Leon. I believe is how you pronounce it. You know, Lionheart, heart of the lion.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay, I was just telling you, he was on the cover of all the magazines, and he was kind of a teen heartthrob for the women, and I guess some of the guys in Mexico.
This is pre Y2.
Yeah. This is before he
Okay.
was in WCW even. Yeah. In the 90s.
So I take it he was not a masked wrestler.
No.
Heartthrobs, I think you have to be able to see their face, probably.
No. Shortly before Saturday's Collision, Tony Khan on X thanked people ahead of AEW's biggest show of the year, this month's All In from London's Wembley Stadium. Khan also hinted important announcements, note the plural announcements, were, quote, looming large before he plugged Saturday's show. His tweet read, quote, "Thank you all who watch AEW as we approach indelible times in our history with AEW All in London at Wembley Stadium weeks away. Plus, the most important announcements in AEW history looming large now." So a lot of people think one of the announcements is going to be a new TV or streaming deal, whatever it is. A lot of folks think they're going to Max, where their shows will air on Max. They'll have a back catalog, kind of like the WWE Network type thing of AEW. I would like it honestly if they would roll in Ring of Honor with it, but
Yeah.
I don't know if they're going to. But you have a back catalog of AEW, and then people expect they'll air the pay-per-views on Max as well. But I tell you, as successful as their pay-per-view model is, where they $40-50,
Yeah.
and they always get a good ratings on pay-per-view because people know they bring it on pay-per-view. I don't know if you're them. I don't know why you change that up. The pay-per-views are one of the most successful parts about the company. But we'll see. I don't know. They may end up on Max just like WWE's on Peacock.
Yeah, but with WWE, like they already have built their brand, like
Yeah.
I think putting the back catalog on Max is absolutely necessary.
Yeah.
If they don't put new shows, like the new pay-per-views on there.
Oh yeah.
Like they have to put the back catalog because I'm seeing those pay-per-views is going to be what pulls people in.
Yeah, exactly.
Because their TV is so inconsistent at times. Like,
Yeah.
if you're not already like hooked, you need those pay-per-views to hook you. I think,
I
and
agree.
to like sell you on that, like this is a real company and they're capable of amazing things.
Yep. Yeah. Well said. But yeah, I agree. I think if they end up on Max and have that back catalog of, well, not just the matches, they've got a lot of great matches, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But right, like you said, the back catalog of pay per views,
Mm-hmm.
which almost every one is really good, and some of them are great.
I'd say all of them are great except for World's End.
Yeah. Well, we haven't seen them all. All the ones
All the ones
I've
we've seen, yeah.
seen are great, except World's End. Yeah, I agree. We've probably seen about maybe like 1/3 of the pay per
Oh, really? I
views.
thought we were at like half.
No,
Okay.
no. We've seen
Yeah,
we've seen everything from like the end of 2023 to now.
We saw all of 2023. You mean the
Did
end
we?
of, yeah,
Oh, the end of 2022.
2022,
I'm sorry.
yeah.
The end of 2022 to now.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've watched some of them or all of them from 2019, and we're about halfway through 2020. So we have them all on disc. So we're working our way to
Yeah.
watching them all. Because yeah, like I said, I hadn't seen them all.
Mm-hmm.
Myself, we didn't used to buy them. $50 is a lot for a wrestling card, but I think it's worth it for AEW.
Mm-hmm.
Where was I? What the hell got me talking about that?
The 2 announcements.
Oh, Max.
Tony Khan.
Max.
Yeah.
Max. What I was saying is, yeah, and I think if people have Max or get it and give AEW a chance and watch those pay-per-views, that, like you said, they're so good that'll hook them. And I feel like if they're streaming, AEW will get a lot of new fans.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I think they need to step up their TV a bit, maybe have fewer squash matches, and really put the right foot forward. They got 5 hours of TV every week. Let's use it, use it well. Because, like I said, I think that back catalog of pay-per-views, if it's on streaming, I think we'll really get a lot of new fans for AEW. Because it'll be the first time a lot of people have seen the pay-per-views. Because your average WWE fan may not be spending $50 on an AEW pay-per-view when they can watch the WWE pay-per-views on Peacock.
Mm-hmm.
Or excuse me, premium live events on Peacock. They don't do pay-per-views anymore. So yeah, and like I said, that's not official, but in Europe already,
Mm-hmm.
they've what is some stuff has been uploaded.
It's been uploaded to the Max catalog. Yeah.
So they haven't made an announcement, but with that, you got to think they're going to be on Max in America and wherever else Max is. I don't know everywhere it is, but sometimes companies do have different companies that own their rights overseas,
Mm-hmm.
and then a different company will own the rights in North America. So we'll see. But I figure that's one of the announcements. And like I said, he said announcements plural. What the other ones could be, I have no idea. So we'll see. I think Tony Khan, people make fun of him for saying big announcement. I got a huge announcement. I think usually he lives up to them pretty well, I think.
Can I tell them one thing?
Okay.
Okay. So, you know how Tony Khan, when he does his big announcements, looks like a deer in the headlights mixed with a robot who's like on coke and like just.
He's not. I don't think he's on coke.
No, I don't think he's on coke.
Okay.
His eyes, the way he like freezes and opens his eyes really big and like talks without moving his head and just moves his jaw.
Yeah.
Like he looks crazy.
Yeah, I agree.
But when we saw him, like he came out before and after Dynamite to like hype up the crowd. He was like the most natural, like personable seeming person talking to this huge crowd of people. Why can we not see the real Tony Khan on television when he makes these announcements? Can they just lie to him and be like, "Oh, the cameras aren't rolling. Just tell us what you want to say."
I agree. It was very strange. Like she said, he came out prior to Dynamite and said, "We got this going on tonight. We got this going on, and it's Dynamite. It's starting in 2 minutes. Let's go!" And got everybody hyped up. And then the same thing said, "Hey, that was a good Dynamite. Thanks for coming. And just remind you, we got Rampage coming up and some more good matches for you. So stick around." And yeah, like she said, got very natural and very cordial and just
like
a good
nothing
personality.
nothing like what we see on television.
Yeah, it's strange.
And it's so odd.
It's strange. Yeah, it's odd.
Like he has to be just like have like crippling anxiety about talking on television or something. Like
I guess.
I've like public speaking, but like to the hundreds of thousands, I guess, instead of public speaking in front of live people. I mean, it was just so shocking to see the difference. So I just don't want you to go on with your impression of Tony Khan as being like a like rich non-people person. It's
Yeah.
just very like stiff upper lip, like, because he doesn't seem like that
Yeah.
at all.
No, I agree. Bryan Danielson sat down with Jim Ross in an interview that aired during Collision, and I gotta say, Jim Ross was not looking too good. I hate to say it. He's had a number of surgeries lately. Went through cancer that seemingly keeps coming back, and
I think
he was looking pretty thin and sick. I hate to say. I don't know how much longer we're gonna have Jim Ross with us, and I hate to say that, but that's the way it looked to me.
I think he's had 3 surgeries this calendar
I
year.
think you're right. And I tell you, surgery takes it out of you.
Mhm.
Takes it out of you.
Plus all the travel that he has to do for AEW, like that has to wear on you, even if you are healthy.
When talking about the things Danielson, when he was talking about the things he'd done during his career, he brought up the status of his neck, saying he'd likely need surgery soon. He said, "quote And even the way I feel right now, I mean, odds are I'm going to have to get neck surgery before the end of the year. That's the reality of it," he said, and that's kind of something I've accepted. It's coming down the pike relatively soon, and this, if it could be kayfabe, and they could be trying to trick us and about the Swerve and Danielson match at All In. But if this is a real announcement, if he's really having neck surgery, it kind of gives away the result of the main event.
Mhm. Well, especially what he goes on to say.
Oh, is there more?
Oh, I don't know. Is there not more?
No. What did he go on to say?
He really
Yeah, there's not more. Tell me. What did he say?
down here.
Oh, it's later. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't
I'll read that. I'll go ahead.
Yeah, I didn't realize I put it as 2 separate posts. I'm sorry.
Bryan Danielson opened up about his thoughts on retirement during a recent appearance on the Nikki and Brie show. Of course, what Brie, his wife, right?
Yeah.
When Danielson challenges Swerve at All In, the stipulation is that if he doesn't win the title, he'll never wrestle again. Danielson said it's easier for him to imagine his future without wrestling. He also noted that he doesn't want to miss this period in his children's lives. Danielson said, quote, "There's this small portion of our kids' lives where they actually want us there. Soon, and I see it with my friends and my sister, all that kind of stuff, all of a sudden, Birdie, she's 7 now, she's going to turn into a teenager and she's going to have other things. Now she wants a daddy there all the time, and I want to be there for that. And also, my body is broken down. The odds are I'm probably going to have neck surgery before the end of the year. This pro wrestling thing, it's been incredible, and it's hard to imagine my life without it for the past 25 years, but it's a lot easier to imagine my life going forward without wrestling. It's actually hard for me to imagine keep doing this, especially with the last year. I've had herniated disc in my neck, tore the labrum in my shoulder, then I broke my arm, which required a rod and 9 screws. Then I had 2 fractures in my orbital bone, and now I just recently hurt my neck really bad, and that was in April. So it's like all of these things. When I started at AEW, I was like, I'm invincible, and then it turns out maybe not so invincible. So I hadn't heard this. So maybe, we've known for a while that Bryan Danielson said this is his last year as a full-time wrestler. And he said that after this, he just wants to wrestle sporadically, just a couple, big matches per year, I guess, and kind of pick his opponents and have these dream matches of his, that kind of deal. But I mean, if the way he's talking here, if this is true and it's not, kayfabe, man, that sounds like maybe he's changed his mind, maybe with all these injuries, he's going to get out while the getting's good, so to speak, because, with surgery, a lot of times, you can get, fixed, so to speak, but that body part is really never quite the same anymore. And if you got as much stuff going on as he does, then how much is he going to be hurting when he's like, like 60 years old? I mean, he's approaching 50, I
Yeah.
believe. I think he's 40 something now, but um, like I said, maybe he's changed his mind. I don't know. Or maybe he's just, like I said, kayfabing, and he's trying to convince us that Swerve's going to beat him at All In. I don't know. We'll see. I feel like Swerve's keeping the belt.
He's convinced me. If he's trying to convince us, it worked.
But man, it's saying all this, it just feels a little like he's trying to convince us a little too hard. So I don't know, but like I said, I feel like Swerve's keeping the belt. But of course, it's wrestling. So you say never wrestle again. Terry Funk retired 10 times or whatever. Sting retired 3 times.
Ric Flair
has retired. Digits, right? No, but he's retired. Ric Flair retired a number of times.
Yeah.
Ric Flair lost a retirement match in 1994 at Halloween Havoc, and he was back by like April of '95. So in wrestling, retirement is really meaningless.
Yeah.
Most people go back on their word. Mick Foley retired, came back a couple times, at least once, I think a couple times. So people go back on their word. Retirement doesn't mean anything. So you can maybe even just strike out in your head, just strike out that stipulation for All In, because like I said, it doesn't. Maybe Bryan Danielson is different, but more times than not, retirements in wrestling don't stick.
The thing that got me though was the comment about his daughter.
Yeah, yeah.
Cause like I work with teenagers, like he is absolutely right. Cause I see like I work at a school where they go there since they're 3 years old. And like there's definitely a time when like those kids like want their parents to be a part of everything they're doing. And by the time they get to me in 8th grade, like that time is over. Like they want often nothing to do with their parents, if at all possible. So, I mean, he's right about like the clock ticking by on those moments.
Yeah, so we'll see. Rev Pro Summer Sizzler 2024 took place, I think, this weekend at York Hall in London. The show was headlined by MJF successfully retaining his AEW American Championship, which is what he renamed the International Championship. MJF beat Michael Oku in a match that went just under 30 minutes. After the match, MJF teased that he was going to hit a Tiger Driver on Amira, but Will Ospreay came in, returning to Rev Pro, and made the save. And after chasing off MJF, Ospreay addressed the crowd and said that at All In, he would do, quote, whatever it takes. And one thing I want to mention just real quick, MJF got under a lot of people's skin this weekend because I think he was referring to Michael Oku, and I think he called him a crack baby, something like that, or an overgrown crack baby, something like that. But crack baby was included, and a lot of people came through and said that's racist. I mean, everyone's welcome to their opinion, but of course, that he didn't mention his race whatsoever. So I think a lot of people like to be offended just for the sake of being offended, I think. But that's what he said. And one thing to keep in mind, though, if you are offended, is, I posted this on X, he's a heel. He's going to do bad stuff. You're not supposed to like the things he does. He's the bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
This is not the real guy. He's playing a character. He obviously he's I hope so. He's not like this in reality. He's not that character in reality. It's the same way if somebody does something in a movie. If someone in an action movie, if an actor murders another character, that doesn't mean they're really a murderer. The same way if MJF says something offensive as a character, it doesn't mean he really thinks that. So I think a lot of times we get maybe people get lost. And just remember, these guys and gals are playing characters, and the things that they do aren't real. So, like I said, if a bad guy is going to do bad stuff, and if you don't like the stuff he does, that's the whole point of the thing. So just, I think a lot of people need to think about that, honestly. But based on the stuff I saw on the internet, a lot of people are just clutching their pearls over something that really wasn't very shocking at all. I think that's just my take on it. Former WWE star made his debut during. Sorry.
I should remove
during
the page breaks. Sorry.
Do what?
I should take out the page breaks. Sorry.
It's okay. During Sunday's Ring of Honor tapings, former WWE star made his debut. Sydney Akeem, formerly known as Reggie on the main roster of WWE and known as Scripps in NXT. He made his debut at the tapings in Arlington, Texas. He lost, little spoiler, I'm sorry. I just read that. So real fast forward 20 seconds if you don't want a Ring of Honor spoiler.
Go back in time and then fast forward 20 seconds.
Well, I told you he lost, but not to whom.
Yeah.
So he lost to Johnny TV at the Ring of Honor tapings. And I'll tell you, this guy, I haven't seen him wrestle a ton, but I did see him wrestle as Reggie several times. He's an amazing acrobat. He does things that look, I've seen him do a couple things that look impossible.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, he's not a tiny guy. He's smaller for a wrestler, but he's not a tiny guy. You know, he's not like the small ladies you see doing the gymnastics on the Olympics or whatever. He's not that small or anything, and he's still able to do these amazing acrobatic things. And he's not a bad wrestler either. So I think if I'm not a big fan of just doing the acrobatics for acrobatics' sake. So I think if he can successfully integrate the acrobatics into avoiding moves, as well as integrate the acrobatics into his offense, I think he might have a pretty good wrestler on our hands here. Like I said, I've only seen him for pretty short, like a couple matches for pretty short bursts, but that's just my impression of him. So it's a pretty good addition to Ring of Honor. I think they have a pretty varied roster in Ring of Honor, and if you have time for another wrestling show in your life, Honor Club is what is it, $10 a month?
$9.99, I believe.
$9.99, and you get Ring of Honor, the tape show every Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
You get every Ring of Honor, all the Ring of Honor pay-per-views, all the Ring of Honor shows, or all the shows on there.
That I don't know.
I don't know, but you get all the Ring of Honor pay-per-views, and then they have some selected matches also from people like CM Punk or the Briscoes, Bryan Danielson, all these giant stars who were in Ring of Honor at some point.
Mm-hmm.
So if you got $10 to spend and some time on your hands, I think it's a great deal. And then of course you get the current pay-per-views are included in that as well. And Ring of Honor is, some people view it as kind of the NXT of AEW, and that's really wrong. The people in Ring of Honor, for the most part, are already developed. They're already wrestlers.
Mm-hmm.
They're not in training. They're not still learning their craft. They're pretty good at their craft already. Yeah. And just to say the match quality on Ring of Honor, if you compare it to NXT, like I said, the comparison's not fair.
It's insulting
to either show. It's a little insulting.
Yeah.
But if you compare the match quality, Ring of Honor blows it out of the water. Because like I said, it's still a pro.
Pro.
Well, they're both pros. It's a pro league, as opposed to NXT, where they're all still in training to some extent. But yeah, Ring of Honor, like I said, is worth it. And then you got guys, Mark Briscoe's the world champion. You got the Kingdom have been the tag champs for almost a year, maybe just over a year. And then they have the Pure Championship as well.
Lee Moriarty,
yeah. Which, look it up. I don't want to tell you all the rules right now, but the Pure Championship in Ring of Honor, they have a cool set of rules.
I can tell them.
Okay, tell them real quick.
Okay, so I believe it's a 20-second count out. It's a set time limit for the match. If it ends in a tie, there's a panel of 3 judges that have been watching the match the whole time, and they select a winner. There are no closed fist punches allowed. You get one warning, and then after that, a second closed punch to the face gets you kicked out. You get 3 rope breaks, and after that, grabbing the rope does not break a submission hold.
Good job.
Thank you.
So yeah, as you hear, the Ring of Honor rules are pretty different, and it makes for some interesting matches.
The pure rules.
What did I say?
You said Ring of Honor rules.
The Ring of Honor pure
Yeah.
Championship rules are pretty interesting, and it makes for some interesting matches. Very different from what you're going to see on any other pro wrestling TV, I think, and really focuses. It forces wrestlers to wrestle a different style. That's much more focused on holds and kind of momentum advantage and feeling like that, and reversals and
It's a
things
much
like
more
that.
technical match is how I would describe it.
Yeah, exactly. That's a better way to say it. But yeah, if you haven't seen a Ring of Honor pure match, look it up. Very neat. Wheeler Yuta's been the champion a couple times. Who else?
Shibata.
Yeah, Katsuyori Shibata was the pure champion, and as we said, right now it's Lee Moriarty, which he's pretty good. He's pretty good.
His pure match that won him the championship was good.
He won it from whom?
From Wheeler Yuta. Yeah, Wheeler Yuta I think is a 3-time pure champ, maybe 2 or 3 times.
And he's good. Yeah, he's good in those matches. But yeah, look up the pure championship matches. Maybe Yuta versus Moriarty, or maybe Yuta versus Shibata. Yeah, look up like Yuta versus Shibata pure championship. I think you'll be glad you did, because you probably haven't seen a match quite like it before. I bet. So.
I think Zack Sabre Jr. challenged for it once in the new Ring of Honor era. And so if you can find that one, I would watch that. I can't remember who he was wrestling.
All right, we're talking a lot about Ring of Honor. We're moving on back to AEW. In an interview with Cultaholic, MJF publicly addressed his backstage incident with Britt Baker for the first time. He confirmed that the incident happened, but he said that details like him barging into the women's locker room and punching a wall are false. He said, quote, "Tell me if this passes the smell test. I barge into a women's locker room, I scream in the face of a 110-pound woman, and then I physically threaten her by punching a wall in her vicinity, and I don't get suspended." He said, "Does that pass the smell test to you? Almost everything that was written about it didn't happen." He said, "Everybody has coworkers at work they may not get along with." Yeah, true. I have a feeling that this was blown out of proportion because all of the English wrestling commentary places that make money off of people like me, who are far more rich and talented and handsome and humble, need clickbait. That's a weird way to put it. Let's see. Saturday night's Collision episode averaged 370,000 viewers on TNT. Man, that is up 95.8% from last week. Of course, last week the show was on at 5 p.m. Eastern time, so not only not its normal time, but also kind of a death spot. Who's watching TV in summer in the middle of the day, and also that made it like 2 p.m. in California. So obviously Collision wasn't going to get a good rating last week, but it was the lowest rating in the history of the show. But yeah, up 95.8%. And they did that last week, to avoid going head to head with SummerSlam Premium Live event. So let's see. The rating is the second lowest audience Collision has had in 2024 when not airing on the same day as a WWE PLE. In the 18 to 49-year-old demographic, Collision drew a .11 rating. That's up 37.5% from last week, but is the lowest rating the show has done in 2024 on days without WWE competition. So the Collision rating's still pretty good. It's still like in the cable top 10 and all that, but definitely I don't think where they want it. And when the show began, I think they were around like 900 some thousand viewers. So that's back when it was like the CM Punk show, you know. So the audience has definitely dwindled, even though the show is on a pretty good roll right now. So I don't know, you know, is it the time? You know, Saturday at 8. You know, a lot of the 18 through 49 demo, a lot of them are out doing stuff on Saturday. I think a lot of people go out on Saturdays. We don't. We watch Collision, and a lot of times we do a watch along, as we'll probably do this coming Saturday.
Yeah, but it's always been on that time, on that day.
Right.
So,
and
like,
that's my point.
yeah.
Is that I think it was destined to underperform in the first place, you know.
Yeah.
And like I said, it was much better for them when it was getting 900 some thousand viewers, as opposed to what this week 370,000 viewers, almost, you know, 1/3 of the ratings at its highest, and the audience keeps going down. Uh, I think some of that is the number of jobber matches that they put on Collision. You know, people aren't interested in those in this day and age. I mean, it's fun to see some new people every now and again, and I like that AEW gives people chances. But if you're not going to let them get in any offense, it makes for a pretty shitty and boring match. That's my take on it. So something has to obviously, like I said, still a good rating, 370,000 viewers. Like I said, still in the top 10 on cable. And how many cable channels are there? A fucking billion? So it's still in the top 10 for Saturdays. But like I said, I don't think it's the rating they want. So something has to change about it. So we'll see. You know, you got the feeling that things may change a lot if they get that streaming deal. I don't know if AEW re-signing with Turner, you know, TNT and TBS. I don't know if that's still on the table or what the deal is. But whether it's a time slot or whether it's the content or whether it's the amount that they advertise it or the way they advertise it. And I think they have some good commercials for Collision, honestly. They have those kind of 30-second spots where wrestlers talk about their passion and why they became pro wrestlers and stuff like that. But maybe it's the way they advertise it. That I don't think so. So it's got to be time slot, huh?
Those are Dynamite commercials.
Oh, excuse me. Those are Dynamite commercials. Yeah. Sorry. Okay.
There are no good Collision commercials.
Excuse me.
There's clips of the show to music.
Right. Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. Yeah, just clips of the show to music. So it may be the way it's advertised, like I said, the time slot, or the too many jobber matches, which they seem to be reducing, but I think a lot of people already got a bad taste in their mouth over it.
And predictability.
Like,
my God.
It is the most predictable show. Probably more probably more predictable than Rampage is every week.
Yes,
I would say.
I would say also,
because at least Rampage a lot of times puts on pretty even talent. You know, they'll have an A versus an A star, or an A versus a B star, or B versus B, C versus C, etc. So some, you know, like maybe half the matches on Rampage, you might not know who's going to win. Let me see.
Like if it weren't
this week on Rampage, say one out of 4 matches, I wasn't sure who was going to. I wasn't like 100% sure who was going to win. That being the Saraya and Nyla Rose match. You know, I thought Saraya would win, but like I said, I wasn't sure.
If we weren't close to All In, I would say Nyla Rose would have won. But because I knew we were close to going to a show in England, I figured Saraya was going to win.
Yeah, they're building her up a little for All In. You know, you got to figure she's going to be featured in some way. She was last year, as you pointed out earlier. You know, she won the World Women's title last year. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But yeah, something's got to change with Collision. Obviously, we used to be much harder on it. But as I said, I think it's been increasing its quality in the past month, especially.
That's because it got so bad to the point where, like, I almost, like, if we weren't doing a show on it, I personally would have stopped watching it. I'm glad I didn't. No, I would have. I'm glad I didn't. Or I would have just fast forwarded to the main event.
Wow.
There, for weeks in a row, you could predict every match. Like, what is the point of me watching them? And it was like,
because they're still good matches.
No, but like you said, it's them putting two people on two totally different levels against each other.
Yeah.
And I don't need to see that. Like, some weeks they were having 3 squash matches on one show.
Yeah.
Like, that's ridiculous. So It has
agree.
definitely been improving, so that's
Yeah.
nice. And I'm glad I didn't stop watching it.
Yeah, maybe if your show is like Sunday at noon or 1 p.m., maybe you can have a couple squash matches on that show,
No.
give people a chance. But if you're Saturday night, 8 p.m., put on some good fucking matches because there's plenty of other sports on TV that are more competitive, more interesting, frankly, than some of the matches on Collision, and people are going to watch those. If they're sports fans, they're going to gravitate to those. So yeah, something's got to change with Collision. Maybe the advertising and the time slot and the talent used. Which, as I said, they're improving on how they use the talent, but they still had how many squash matches this week? They still had three. FTR, they were just kind of interesting squash matches a little. FTR beat the Outrunners, very short match. Roosh pinned Preston Vance, pretty decent little match. And Hikaru Shida pinned Aaliyah James, very short match.
That was nothing.
Yeah, it was nothing. So, three very predictable matches. At least we got to see the Outrunners, but they didn't do anything. And Preston Vance didn't do anything. So, as I said, seeing this different talent could be cool if they made the matches more competitive. But so I'm a broken record. Something has to change with Collision because I want them to do well on Saturday night. They have so many fucking people on the roster. There's no excuse for not putting on A versus A talent on a Saturday night, and B versus B to maybe start the show. I mean, yeah. So, like I said, like half the matches were worthwhile on Collision this past Saturday. Darby and Hologram beat the Premier Athletes, which the Premier Athletes obviously had no chance of winning. Decent match. Thunder Rosa beat Deonna Purrazzo in the Texas Bull Rope match. That one could have gone either way. That was the match of the week. 4.5 bones out of 5. And then the main event was good. House of Black and the Bang Bang Gang fighting to a draw in that number one contenders match. Which was good, except that the finish I didn't a lot of people didn't really like, with a tie, but it was a good match, and we'll see where they go after the tie. But as I said, that's just 3 matches out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 worth that were good, and they have enough people on the roster, men and women, that they can put on 7 good matches every Saturday or 6 good matches every Saturday. So fucking step it up. The Friday, August 9th episode of AEW Rampage averaged 219,000 viewers on TNT. That's up 4.8% from the previous week. It's the second lowest audience total in the history of Rampage. So it's another one on the way, keeps decreasing on the way down.
This is all of those were against the Olympics, though. You gotta account for some of it.
I'm sorry
for that. Yeah,
I forgot the Olympics were on,
Yeah.
which got huge. I mean, I know at least how many people watched that? Like 30 million. I feel like so. Like
Yeah.
1 out of 10 people in America watched some Olympic stuff. I didn't see anything.
I did.
I didn't watch one thing. I would have liked to have seen the basketball, but I didn't see. No, I didn't see 1 second of the Olympics.
You saw that dance.
Yeah, I saw that terrible breakdancing woman from Australia. That's all I saw from the Olympics. I might go back and watch the gold medal basketball game, the men's basketball, USA versus France. It's probably a good game. France is a very good, teamwork team in international basketball. So, yeah. We're not here to talk about basketball. That Rampage rating, they did a 0.09 rating in the 18 to 49-year-old demo. That's up 28.6% from last week. And that ties the 5th lowest rating Rampage has done in 2024 in that demographic.
It's terrible.
So yeah, Rampage and the Dynamite ratings have been decreasing, but far more slowly than the Rampage and Collision ratings. And of course, AEW's AEW's attendance is down as well. Now, as I said earlier, the pay-per-views still do really well because people know, even the casual fans know AEW brings it on a fucking pay-per-view. They put on great pay-per-views. So those stay doing well. But their TV, like I said, Dynamite going down a little slowly, Rampage and Collision going down more quickly than they would like. Like I said, Collision's still a top 10 show, but um, going down. So something's got to change with Collision and Rampage. Maybe their TV presentation as a whole. So I don't know. Do the TV ratings? I need to look it up. We should know because we report the ratings every week. Does it count DVR?
No. Wait. I don't know about the numbers they release. I think so because they.
But you're not sure.
It's the 3 days after the original airing that count. At least for
That's what I thought too.
the Walking Dead podcast I listen to, when they report their numbers, it includes that.
The 3 days after. So what? 4 days total.
I believe so.
Dynamite is if you watch it on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
I believe so. I'm not positive. This is based off the Walking Dead podcast.
I mean, because we're huge AEW fans, but like a lot of you, we have lives out there. So a lot of times, I maybe on Wednesday we try to watch them live so we don't get it spoiled. But a lot of times, like Wednesday, we'll be exhausted. And personally, me, I like to enjoy the wrestling. And if I'm tired and shit, I don't, I'm not gonna enjoy it or care about it as much as if I'm, a little bit more rested. So sometimes we love AEW. Sometimes we won't even watch it live on Wednesday.
But our numbers also don't count towards that because we have YouTube TV. That's
is it true? Right. It's just cable. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
I believe.
Good call. Good point. And not to make. Well, it is a valid excuse. I was going to say not to make excuses, but it is a valid excuse. Think about, especially if you're younger. Well, we're not young. We're old.
Younger.
We're 40. Yeah. We're younger. We're still in the 18 through 49 demo.
Woo, 9 more years. But I can't. Out of all the people I work with, out of my family, I don't know anyone who still has cable.
That's what I was about to say.
Yeah.
I mean, and think to yourself, out there, these are cable ratings. So how many people, what percentage of people that personally, in the desired demo, 18 through 49, I mean, still have cable. A lot of older people still have it because they're comfortable with that. They've had it for a long time. They don't want to deal with streaming and all that. But
even the older
people, like my parents, her parents have YouTube TV. And we watch my mom's YouTube TV. Yeah, we don't have cable.
Yeah.
I mean, ever since YouTube TV existed, pretty much we've watched that. So these ratings, my point is, I feel like these ratings nowadays are, and I'm not talking about WWE versus AEW. I couldn't care less what ratings WWE has. I just want AEW to do well. I don't think it's too much of a competition between the two because they're so different in presentation. I think, you got some people going this way with AEW. Like, we don't even watch WWE. Some people going that way. Of course, some people watching both. I'm not a tribal person, like they call it in the internet wrestling community. Like I said, if you like WWE, aside from the fact that your money's going to an alleged serial rapist and human trafficker, maybe something to think about. And the Saudi royal family, maybe something to think about. But my point is, if you enjoy WWE and you don't care about their politics or the human trafficking, then, good. I'm glad for you. I don't want to shit on anything you enjoy. But, like I said, just my point is, I think they have different audiences. Some people just want to see wrestling matches and want to see the stars. And, but I just think they have different audiences. So comparing them, I don't think, like I said, I personally, I don't care. I just want AEW to do well. And I think once they get on streaming, a lot of those streaming places, they don't release their numbers. If they have a runaway hit, they'll tell you how many people watched it. But by and large, they don't tell you how many people are watching what. Which I would be really interested in how people use streaming. How many people are marathoning TV shows or watching older movies or newer movies? I would love to see those numbers. I think it'd be really interesting to see, like, Netflix or Amazon Prime. How do people, what are they watching on there? But the streaming companies don't seem to want to do that, and I'm not really sure why.
I wonder if they're publicly traded, if they do, for their stockholders.
I'm
I
sure
would imagine they have to, right?
I don't know that answer. That's a great question,
Yeah.
but I don't know. That's something to find out.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I mean, like I said, as far as I know, Netflix just I'm not sure about the others, but Netflix,
hmm
they don't. And I know that, like I said, that for some hit shows, they'll tell you so many people watch this.
hmm
But I mean, there's thousands of things on there, and for most things, they don't tell you how many people are watching them.
Is it publicly traded?
I assume it is, but I really don't know.
Yeah.
Like I said, that's a great question.
Yeah.
That's something we'll look and figure
Mhm.
out. I'd like to get a little more into what do these rating numbers really mean? How much do they matter? How much are they really an indication of how many people are watching AEW? Personally, I don't think so. I don't think it's a good indication. Now, as we've seen, we all know the attendance have been down too, but they just had the little sportatorium there. If they run smaller places, they'll do a lot better.
Mhm.
And I think the intimate feel for AEW, that's great for them. I think.
Mhm.
Um, and they just sold out that sportatorium. We went to Revolution in March where they sold the fucking Greensboro Coliseum out. There were about 18,000 people there for Revolution for Sting's retirement match. So it's not like they can't draw a crowd. And they're sold over 50,000 tickets. 50 fucking thousand tickets. 50,000 for All In. That's a lot of fucking people. I've never been to anything that big. Maybe a soccer game down in Charlotte.
Yeah, we definitely were at something
That was a lot of
It
people.
was like 80,000 people.
Was it?
It was
It's like
85,000. It broke a record.
Holy fuck.
Yeah.
Okay. We went to the first Charlotte Major League Soccer game.
Yeah.
Charlotte FC. And yeah, that was a ton of people.
Yeah.
80,000. Okay. But my point is 50,000 is still a fucking lot.
Yeah.
So, some markets they're still doing great in. But it's weird. We in Greensboro, North Carolina, they sold out for Revolution, like I said, around 18,000 or so. But then we just went 6 days ago for a live Dynamite and Rampage taping, and they had in Winston-Salem, they didn't even sell half the place.
Mm-mm.
I
But
wouldn't even say they sold a third of the place.
It's because of Sting's last match. Like,
Well,
if that
of
had
course.
just been like any pay-per-view, it wouldn't have sold out the way it did.
I'm not sure. People in North Carolina love pro wrestling.
I understand that, but we've been to Collision and Dynamite.
But it's a different with pay-per-view. That's a whole different vibe.
We went to Collision when CM Punk was still in it.
Yeah, but a pay-per-view, like I said, is a whole different vibe.
Yeah,
People
that's
know
true.
they're going to
Yeah.
get a way better show.
Yeah, that's true.
With less filler, less talking, all that stuff. Big
Yeah.
stars for sure.
You know what I just thought of though? Like, this has nothing to do with the pay-per-view, but with the way ratings and advertising works, I have a friend who works in television advertising. We can probably ask them questions and they can give us direct answers because that's what they do for a living.
Would they want to come on the show? Probably not.
Probably not, but
Okay.
I bet we can ask them.
We'll get some
yeah.
questions and we'll have some answers for you sometime soon. How about that? So remind me and we'll give them some questions because I'm really interested. I'm not one of those, I don't watch wrestling for the numbers, obviously, or for the attendance, but I love AEW. I want them to stick around. Obviously, the cons are fucking loaded. They got billions of dollars.
Thank God.
So thank goodness, yeah. So they don't like if it's failing, it really is no skin off their back at all. It just depends. Does Tony Khan, does he still love doing it? And is his father still up for bankrolling it if it loses money? Which I don't know. I don't know their financials. They may be making money if they get the deal from Max. If it's as much as people are speculating it will be, that's a lot of money. They will definitely be turning a profit at that point.
Yeah.
Even though their live attendance is down and their cable ratings are down. But AEW very much is a made for television option. WWE depends a lot more on their live gate numbers, a lot more. and they run house shows and stuff. AEW, they ran like 2 house shows or something like that. They usually don't. They're usually taping, 2 shows, three shows at a time.
Mhm.
Somebody said they went to a Ring of Honor taping the other day, and it was 5.5 fucking hours long. They taped, I don't know,
Oh, like multiple episodes?
yeah, they taped like 4 some episodes of Ring of
Oh
Honor.
my god, I would love that.
That would be cool. But my point is, wrestling's not like it was in the 80s or 90s or whatever. It's not all about the live gate money and who draws at the gates. Now it's about how many people do you have watching, and really a lot of it is about how much merchandise are they buying, especially uh, t-shirts and Blu-rays and all that fun stuff. And fuck, if we're any guide, AEW sells a lot of fucking merchandise. I'll tell you that.
That's true. We have no money, but what we do have, we spend on AEW.
That's true. That is true. And speaking of AEW merchandise, I think, yeah, there you go, AEW coffee mug. I think tonight we're finally going to film the AEW Elite Crate review.
Highly anticipated.
We're finally going to unbox it. I got it, like a month ago?
Yeah, it's been too long.
I got it a month ago. We still haven't opened
Sorry.
it. Sorry. We keep telling you we're going to open it, and we keep not. We're going to do it tonight. We're going to film it tonight, and it'll be online tonight or tomorrow. I promise. I promise you.
Do we have any more news?
Yes, we
Oh,
do.
okay.
I just went off on a whole
Yes, you
rant
did.
about the ratings.
Direct you back to the news.
I just wanted to talk about it. That's
I know,
all.
I know.
That's all. It's on my mind.
It's all right.
All right. With more streaming providers now offering AEW pay-per-views, Triller is attempting to lead the pack by rolling out 2 separate pay-per-view bundles that will save fans money. That's always good news.
Mhm.
Officially announced last Monday, or excuse me, officially announced yesterday, the former Fight.tv is packaging together this month's All In from London's Wembley Stadium with September's All Out from Chicago for $84.99. You get both pay-per-views. That's a 15% discount from buying the 2 separately at their $49.99 price points. And I think All Out is 2 weeks. I think it's 2 weeks after All In. So that would put it on September 8th, I think. If it's on it'll be sometime like September 7, 8, or 9, one of those dates. Triller also announced plans to offer a triple pack bundle for the final 3 AEW pay-per-views this year. October's Wrestle Dream, November's Full Gear, and December's World's End. While the price hasn't been announced for that, the release states, quote, the bundles provide a significant discount of over 25% compared to buying the individual pay-per-views separately, making them an excellent way to enjoy All Elite Wrestling's slate of regular pay-per-view programming on Triller TV. So yeah, if you got, if you're on a budget, fuck, even if you're not, if you like saving money and you like wrestling, Wrestle Dream, Full Gear, and World's End at an over 25% discount, that's a hell of a deal. That's a great deal.
Mhm.
All right, that's the end of the news update. So we're going to talk real quick about some upcoming matches and show dates, and then we're going to finish with the top 5 ratings. So upcoming matches and show dates. Of course, well, I'm going to talk about Dynamite before All In. Dynamite is, of course, tomorrow night. I think the main event is going to be the AEW Tag Title match. I think, where the Young Bucks return to television, and they're going to defend against the number 1 contenders, the Acclaimed, who, as I said before, they won an eliminator match, beat the Young Bucks like a month ago, 6 weeks ago, a long time ago. So the belt's going to change hands. I feel like they're not. I feel like there's going to be some kind of tomfoolery.
Well, this is their first title defense since they've had the belts.
Is it?
Yes, they won them in April. And they have not defended them.
Wow. Did they?
That's what I read.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I can't remember any. Wow. That's something else, isn't it?
Yes.
And that goes to show what a lot of people have been talking about. They say AEW's tag team division is floundering. And it is. I mean, you got FTR, great team. You got the Young Bucks, great team. You got the Acclaimed, very good team. But then the other ones we see are kind of like one-hit wonders. Like we just saw Darby Allin and Hologram, probably a one-time thing. Maybe not, but probably a one-time thing. You got the premier athletes who are jobbers. You got the Outrunners who have been on TV, who are jobbers. Private Party, who been losing quite a bit, but won on Rampage this week. And then you got the Dawsons, who lost, and it was their first match ever on AEW TV. My point is, at the top, you got some really good tag teams, but then the rest of the division just isn't there. And you can't have a tag team division based on 3 teams. And now, in my opinion, the best tag team, the Lucha Brothers, by all accounts, are headed to the company up north. So AEW, I feel, at one point they were the place for tag team wrestling. They had the Young Bucks, etc. The teams I've named. Kenny Omega and Paige were a fucking awesome tag team. They were the champions for a while. You had other tag teams as
Darby
well.
and Sting.
Darby and Sting, great team. Never lost a match.
Jericho and Sammy,
exactly. They've had great tag teams, and the tag team division used to be second to none, I think. And now they've just, as Kay said, the Young Bucks haven't defended the belts in 4 months, almost 5 months. Wow. And they've really been letting the tag team division down. I would love for them to do something like the Continental Classic they had last year for singles wrestlers. I would love to see a tag team version of that. Maybe something like that would be a shot in the arm. But yeah, they need to do something to get the tag team division rolling again. Also tomorrow night, AEW World Champion Swerve Strickland takes on Wheeler Yuta of the Blackpool Combat Club. It's a non-title match. Swerve is looking to warm up for All In. And I bet we might see some interference from Hangman Adam Page. That's just a guess here.
Oh. I was thinking you were going to say Danielson, but no, Hangman is a way better guess.
Yeah, I mean, it seems to me they're setting up. I think, I feel like maybe All Out is going to be
Swerve and Page
for the belt. I think Swerve's definitely winning it All In, or keeping the belt. He might lose by DQ. I don't know. He's keeping the belt though, and I think he's going to defend against Hangman. 2 weeks later at All Out in Chicago.
I didn't even think of that. I never think of winning by DQ and not getting the belt.
Yeah,
that's so Danielson, he can keep his career
exactly
and not have the title. God damn it! I never think of stuff
Danielson
like that.
could win, keep his career, but not take Swerve's belt. So someone could come in and beat Danielson down.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't make Swerve look weak, but at the same time he technically loses the match and keeps his belt. Just a thought.
That's a good thought.
Also tomorrow night on Dynamite, should be a very good match. TBS champion, the undefeated Mercedes Moné, takes on former women's world champ Hikaru Shida for the TBS title. That should be a good one. I hope they give them a little time to work. 2 very talented women. Also, we got former world champion and tag team champion Hangman Adam Page taking on former Ring of Honor world champion Jay Lethal. And Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, will make an appearance. If they've added other stuff, I'm not aware of it.
Mariah May, something.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Scroll down.
There's the page break.
Sorry.
They have other stuff.
Those tricksy page breaks.
Claudio Castagnoli and Kazuchika Okada, the undefeated Continental Champion, are going face to face. And haven't they already announced next week?
It's on there.
On Dynamite? Okay.
Yeah, Cardiff.
They're fighting for the Continental title.
Correct.
Wait, is that next week?
I have the date.
2 weeks. We'll see. Tomorrow night, former international champion Orange Cassidy takes on former international champion Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly. A triple threat match. The winner earns the #1 spot in the All-In Casino Gauntlet match. which, you think you don't want the number one spot.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the casino gauntlet match is over as soon as one person nails a fall. So you start 1-on-1, somebody loses, a new guy comes in, blah blah blah. You have or excuse me,
No.
I'm sorry, I spoke wrong. You start with two guys, and then it's like the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
More guys get in. It's a battle over the top rope, battle royal. And as I said, but you.
Yeah.
No, is it?
So no. So no,
Sorry.
he's right. It's like the Royal Rumble, except instead of if you empty the ring, like you just stand around for 2 minutes waiting for the next guy to come out. Like as soon as someone pins someone,
It's over.
it's over.
Yeah. But wait, is it? I forget. Is it over the top rope elimination? No.
No, you have to pin them.
Right. So everybody's legal.
Everyone's legal.
Everyone's legal.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Everyone's legal, and as I said, whoever gets a fall by pin or submission wins the match.
So you're right.
You really do want the number one spot, because then you have a chance before anyone else. Number one, number two spot have chances before anyone else to end the match and get the. Wait, what is that for? World title shot?
World title shot.
Yeah, and get the world title shot.
But also,
whenever that is, they haven't announced a date for that world title shot.
The 1 and 2 spots are the only spots that are guaranteed to be in the match.
Right,
Because
correct.
if wrestler 1 pins wrestler 2, everyone else that's been waiting in line to get in the ring,
Right,
they don't even get a shot.
yeah, they might have 20 wrestlers lined up for the match, but depending on when the match ends, maybe we only see like 10 of them.
Yeah.
And according to the rumors on the net, AEW they kind of see this as like a signature match of theirs, which it is, and it's a cool way, I think, to determine a number one contender.
Yeah.
Very a neat little spin on a battle royal. And I forgot where I was fucking going with that.
I think it's
they see it. I'm sorry, they see it as like a signature match of theirs, and a lot of times they'll bring in new talent or returning talent, and so people are expecting in the Casino Gauntlet match to see several, either, like I said, either debuting or returning wrestlers. So who will be the debuting? I don't know. I'm not sure.
Ricochet.
Oh fuck yeah!
Ricochet.
I would love that.
Ricochet.
I haven't heard about him officially signing a contract. Last I heard, the deal was done and everything but him actually signing a deal. Because he was. Is he still in WWE? He hasn't been, I know he hasn't been on TV in a month or so, at least. So, but I haven't heard anything about him officially signing a deal. But hopefully they've kept it under wraps. It'll be a fun surprise. Maybe we'll see Jay White return. Dynamite Kid Jr. just signed with the AEW. Maybe we'll see him in the match. His first match since signing his contract. Who knows?
It'd be nice to see Sammy back in a match in AEW.
Yeah. Well, he's been wrestling in Ring of Honor. Gamora has.
No, I know. I'm saying back in AEW.
Yeah, I agree. We'll see. I think they may be keeping him. He's in Ring of Honor. He's in a faction with the Ring of Honor Trios champs, Dustin Rhodes and the Von Erichs, which is a pretty interesting faction to me. And they've, but yeah, so we'll see. I think Sammy should be in AEW, but he's not. So we'll see. But yeah, they haven't announced any participants for this match. Not that I've heard.
No, correct. Yeah.
So yeah, like I said, Cassidy versus Strong versus O'Reilly. Winner gets the number one spot in the All-In Casino Gauntlet match. The winner gets a world title. Of course, Bryan Danielson has the shot at a world title shot. Thank you. I'm sorry. The winner gets a world title match.
Yeah.
Of course, Danielson has the match at All In. At Grand Slam on September 25th in New York, Darby Allin gets a world title shot. So you got to assume that the winner of the Gauntlet match will get their world title shot after September 25th, I would assume, because Darby has already earned his shot.
I would assume it would be at All Out. They have to have title matches on All Out. They can't just do them all at All In and then have a pay-per-view with no title matches.
Yeah, but like I said, they can have it a different way. I feel like we're getting Swerve and Hangman, even if the belt's not on the line, which it should be.
Yeah,
I feel like we're getting Swerve versus Hangman,
Yeah.
Because in 2 weeks, like I said, Danielson already earned his shot by winning the Owen Hart Cup. Darby won his shot by winning Royal Rampage a couple weeks ago. So I just feel like whoever wins the gauntlet match, like I said, I think they're going to get their shot post September 25th.
Mm-hmm.
But they have not announced, so we'll see. Also on Dynamite tomorrow night, a film by Mariah May. So, Tony Storm has released several, a couple like 5-minute films, which is pretty funny.
Some of them.
Some of them, yes. Some were not so funny, but maybe just one wasn't.
Yeah, one.
I thought most of them were pretty
One
funny.
was not funny.
But so Mariah May is going to have a film of her own. I don't think it's going to be very funny. I think it might be a little dark. She's kind of got a screw loose since she assaulted Tony Storm and broke up that team.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really looking forward to that match at All In. Storm versus Mariah May. I expect it to be really good.
Mm-hmm.
Really good. On Rampage on Friday, as we mentioned before, Nick Wayne, 1/3 of the World Trios Champions, takes on Kip Sabian. That should be a cool match. I like Kip Sabian. We call him the lost fifth pillar of AEW. I like him.
Mm-hmm.
And on Collision on Saturday, Top Flight, Darius and Dante Martin are taking on the MXM collection. Mason Madden and Mansoor recently, arrived from that company up north. And as much as I hate to admit it, they're pretty funny. Mansoor especially has really good comic timing. But then at the same time, when they're wrestling, it's not a joke match, so that's cool.
But they can still be like fun and silly in the match without it being a joke match. Like,
right.
I feel like they do a really good job of incorporating their character work into their actual wrestling.
And Mason Madden, if he can get out of this silly gimmick, which he seems to enjoy, he does a pretty good job at it. He's funny. But if he can get out of this gimmick, I think he could be a big star for them.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's a former football player. He's got a great look. He's a big guy, very athletic, good offense. I haven't paid attention to his selling, so I don't know about that. But he's got a personality for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And Mansoor is a good talent. I mean, this is a good tag team. Of course, like back in the day, if it were, whatever, 20 years ago or whatever, they'd probably be like a gay heel team. We'd boo them because they used to be in wrestling. You boo the gay guys, which it's really lame. I'm glad we're past that. Adrian Adonis or in WWF or Lenny and Lodi in WCW or whatever. Billy and Chuck Palumbo, I think, did a gay angle in WWF, and I think they were heels too. So that's real lame. Thankfully we don't do that anymore. And MXM, they don't seem to be, well, I think they do seem to be gay, but we're not supposed to dislike them because of it. But it definitely seems to be a gay gimmick, I think.
I think it's just the generic effeminate male gimmick.
I don't know. Because they do things like they touch tips.
That's funny to me.
It's funny to me too. That's how they tag, and stuff.
Yeah.
But it seems a little, like I said, they haven't come out and say it. They're gay, but just from the way they act, it seems like their characters are gay. But like I said, at the same time, we're not, I think they're heels. We're not booing them because they're gay. We're booing them because they're bad guys, So that's cool. That's cool. But one thing that's not so cool, if their characters are gay, they're really doing that, as Kay said, that effeminate male stereotype that, used to be the stereotype of gay men. They're all super flaming and this and that. And we all know that's not true. I mean, those guys are out there, but not all gay men. But yeah, so like I said, if their characters are gay, that's not so cool that's how they're playing them, the effeminate way. So hopefully the characters are straight and are just effeminate,
Mhm.
what's the word, metrosexual
Mhm.
males. Um,
I
so I
don't.
don't know. Like I said, they haven't come out and said their sexuality. Of course, they don't comment on most wrestlers' sexuality
Mhm.
because it doesn't matter. Uh, but
I just feel like
it kind of does matter in this case since they're
Mhm.
playing what definitely used to be a gay stereotype. So I
Mhm.
would just like some clarification so I know what's going on there with that gimmick. It doesn't seem like something AEW would do or Tony Khan. I
Mhm.
think they're very careful to not be rude or offensive, you know?
Mhm.
Wrestling shouldn't offend anyone. It should be fun. Um, I mean, the heels should offend the faces for
Yeah.
sure. Maybe the heels offend you, but
Mhm.
I'm saying, as far as, religion, your skin color, sexual, those kind of things, nobody should come
Mhm.
to wrestling and get offended.
Mhm.
And so, like I said, it doesn't seem like something they would do. So I guess I'm going to assume they're not gay, just based
Mhm.
on the way I know AEW is run.
Mhm.
So, what were you about to say?
I was just gonna say, in a company where you have openly gay wrestlers,
Like Anthony Bowen
like Anthony Bowens,
and yeah,
well, I mean,
some
and you have
women,
like some women,
couple of women,
yeah.
yeah.
I just
And
feel
we even
like
had like a lesbian angle with like Tony Storm, Mariah May, and the Japanese lady whose
Mhm.
name I forget.
Mina, right? Shirakawa.
I think yeah, that's it.
Um, yeah, and so I just feel like they wouldn't do that, you know.
I agree. I agree.
So I mean,
I hope not. Like I said,
mhm.
I hope the characters are supposed to be effeminate, straight guys or
Mhm.
asexual, whatever.
Mhm.
Um,
I
because if
just
they're,
think
I just really don't think AEW would do that effeminate gay stereotype
I don't
and
even.
boo them because that's what they are. I just seems way out of character for AEW. So, like I said, I hope they're supposed to be just metrosexuals who are vain and
Mhm.
effeminate.
So I think they're. I took it as not like we're going against male stereotypes and therefore you're going to boo us, whether it's gay or straight. I just took it as we're self-obsessed male models
Yeah,
who think we're above everyone, and
right.
that's why you hate us.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it has
Yeah,
nothing to do with sexuality,
I
just
think you're right.
their own egos fueling.
I think you're right. At the same time, I don't think the angle, excuse me, I don't think the gimmick can work for very long.
Correct.
People seem to think it's funny, and I think it's funny. The as I said, Mansoor, very funny guy,
Mhm.
good comic timing.
Yeah.
They have that thing where they like turn around and go like this, where they turn around real quickly and pose for the
Yeah.
cameras. They hold still.
Mhm.
Uh, that's pretty funny. And like I said, even Mason, what's his name? Mason Manson. What's his name?
Mason Madden.
Mason Madden. Sorry. Even Mason Madden he's funny as well in the role.
Hmm.
Um, so maybe they can evolve out of that because, like I said, I don't think this gimmick really has legs, as they say. And so if they can evolve out of it and become something else, um, I
There's
think that would be good for both of them.
there's not a lot of occupation gimmicks in AEW.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean,
because
it
that's
just
out of
yeah,
fashion.
yeah. I mean, other
AEW people are usually like quote unquote like real people.
yeah, other than uh Britt Baker, who's an actual dentist, like
Right.
I can't really think of any occupation gimmicks.
Yeah. Good call.
So
But yeah, that's just my take on them, real
mhm.
quick. So yeah, Collision. That's the only match we have made. Top Flight versus MXM Collection.
Mhm.
Dynamite in Cardiff, Wales, August 21st, 4 days before All In. Claudio Castagnoli of Blackpool Combat Club challenges Kazuchika Okada of the Elite, undefeated Okada. And that match is for Okada's Continental title belt.
Mhm.
Should be a good one. And now we're real quick. We're going to go over All In. We're not going to do like a big preview of
Mhm.
it. We'll do that closer to the show. I
Yeah.
just want to go over the matches really quick, and then we're going to do the top five ratings and get out of here. So All In. MJF will defend his newly renamed AEW American title against Will Ospreay. I expect that to be the match of the night. I think we both do.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
TNT champion Jack Perry of the Elite defends against Darby Allin, continuing their feud. Darby Allin set him on fire a couple months ago, so should be a good one. The undefeated Mercedes Moné defends her TBS title against Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. First time matchup there. Of course, what I think is going to be the main event. I'm pretty sure, right? Yeah. Swerve Strickland defends the AEW World Title against Bryan Danielson. It's a belt versus career match. Danielson loses. He says he'll never wrestle again. We also have a World Trios title match. The Patriarchy defend their belts, seemingly against either the Bang Bang Gang or House of Black. We don't know yet. And then, of course, we have the Casino Gauntlet match, where the winner gets a future AEW World title shot. No one has been announced for the match yet. On the 0 Hour, we have the CMLL Women's Champion, Willow Nightingale, teaming up with Tomohiro Ishii.
Yeah.
And they're taking on former TBS champion, Chris Statlander, and her manager, Stokely Hathaway. So we got a mixed tag team match. It could be fun.
I'm so excited for Stokely Hathaway to be in the ring.
Yeah.
I love him. I love him.
Yeah. So there is your news roundup.
Can I point out one thing super fast, and then we'll do the top 5? Okada doesn't have a match at all in either.
Right.
Like when Claudio won the #1 contender spot, I had just assumed that match was getting added to All In, but it didn't. And so, like, only one person in the Elite has a match. Sorry, our dog just tried to eat a bug and it scared the crap out of me. Sorry.
I kind of feel like we may see a rematch between Okada and Claudio.
Okay.
That's just my feeling right now, because that's all that they've built for either of them right now is this feud. So I just feel like that might take them to All In too.
Yeah.
All right, and now it's time for the top 5. Your AEW top 5 lists. We slave over these top 5 ratings to bring you accurate rankings, what we think are accurate rankings for the past week in AEW. We rank the men, the women, and the teams separately. So who are we going to do first?
Women.
The women. Number 5 this week, back in the top 5. She got a win on Collision over a jobber, Hikaru Shida, number 5. Number 4 on the list, up one spot from number 5 last week, the undefeated Camille, who has kind of been serving as Mercedes Moné's bodyguard. And she won she won a handicap match on Dynamite, is that right?
She did, yeah. Which I didn't realize was a handicap match. I thought it was a tag match, but it was in fact a handicap match. Also against someone from AML.
Oh, right, Clara something.
I want to say Clara Clayton, but that's the woman from Back to the Future 3.
That's Clara something, from AML. Yeah. Number 3, up one spot from number 4 last week. She got the win in that awesome Texas bull rope match on Collision. Thunder Rosa. Been holding fast in the top 5, the former world champ. Number 2, she's been there for a while. Mariah May, your number 1 contender, taking on Toni Storm at All In. And number 1, she has been there for months. The longest reigning woman in her number 1 spot, the world champ, Toni Storm. So number 1, Toni Storm. Number 2, Mariah May. Number 3, Thunder Rosa. Number 4, Camille. Number 5, Hikaru Shida. So what are we doing, men or teams? Men. Number 5, back in the top 5, Katsuyori Shibata. I'm trying to think who he beat. We'll get back to it.
We'll get back to you on that.
Brian
Keith.
Brian Keith, yeah, of the Learning Tree.
Mm-hmm.
Number 4, down one spot from number 3 last week, Darby Allin, who has the world title shot, as I said, coming up at Grand Slam, September 25th. He got the win over the Butcher on Rampage.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3, up one spot from number 4, he and Darby Allin switched spots. The American champion, MJF, who had an awesome match against Kyle Fletcher on Dynamite last week and has been going. He went to Mexico and defended the international title. He went to England and defended it this weekend. He's on quite a roll. And that's, well, the international title, what used to be the international title and is now the American title. And that's the way from the beginning. I wanted the international title to be what I thought it was going to be, where maybe you win it in the U.S., but then you go all over the world defending it against the best in the world,
I think that's what everyone expected it to be, and I
Yeah.
was just very surprised when that's not what happened.
Yeah. We've seen a little of it. I think Moxley, didn't he do a little of that? Maybe a couple matches overseas?
I think before he got the chance, he was in that match with Ray where he couldn't move.
Ray Phoenix,
Yeah.
He got like temporarily paralyzed
briefly,
or something. Yeah, very briefly. That was scary.
Mhm.
I think Phoenix went over, right?
Yeah.
He won the title then,
Mhm.
which I don't think was scheduled to happen, but I'm not sure.
No, it was definitely not.
Yeah, I think
scheduled.
Moxley called an audible after he couldn't move. But yeah, cool belt. I don't know. I'm still not clear. What's the number 2 belt? The TNT title, the American title, the
Continental? Was that
the Continental title. It's not the FTW title, but which of those 3 is the number 2 belt? Let us know your opinions. What do you see as number 2? For a long time, it was the TNT title.
That's because it was the only other one.
Well, but I mean, we had, months ago, we had Christian Cage going up against Adam Copeland for the TNT title. So, even still, it had been number 2. But I feel like now, either the American or Continental title is their number 2 belt, held by MJF and Okada. I feel like those belts are a little more respected than Jack Perry with the TNT title.
I think it's hands down the international title.
Really?
The Continental title has been held by 2 people, one of which was Eddie Kingston. That is not on the same level as either of those other belts. Nothing against Eddie Kingston. I am a fan. I'm just saying, with the history of who had the other belts.
But the Continental title was fought for and won by Kingston in the Continental Classic, the round robin tournament, which had some of the biggest names in AEW in it. I mean, you fought, several matches.
Mm-hmm.
Did you fight everyone or not? I don't think so.
You did. Well, you fought, no. So there were 2 sections. There was blue and gold or black and gold or something like that.
Yeah. And
you fought the people in your section, and then the winner of each section, I think, faced each other.
Yeah, it was like a soccer tournament.
Yeah.
That's how they do it. Or for football for you overseas listeners and viewers. But yeah, so that's my point is, that was won, the Continental title was won in a big time tournament there, but no, not number 2.
Not number 2.
Okay, international title.
Yes.
Held by Orange Cassidy several times, who really went on a roll, had great matches. Held by Moxley, who's kind of the ace of AEW in a lot of people's eyes. Held
twice,
by,
right? Moxley had it twice also.
I'm not sure. Cassidy had it twice. Ray Phoenix, who is one of the best wrestlers in the world for my money.
Former world champion Jeff Jarrett was the first winner.
Wait, what?
Jeff Jarrett, wasn't he? Oh, no, it was Pac.
No.
Yeah, not Jeff Jarrett.
Jeff Jarrett hasn't had a belt in AEW. No.
Don't listen to me. Pac, former cruiserweight champion, former trios champion is what I meant to say.
Jeff Jarrett is former WCW world champion, and I think he might have been TNA champion too, but I haven't watched much TNA.
Also, I think he and Cassidy faced each other to determine who was going to get Pac's vacated belts.
Oh yeah, Pac got injured.
Yeah.
Pac got injured to vacate it. Moxley had it, and he got injured while defending it against Phoenix. Did Phoenix get injured?
Phoenix got injured eventually. I don't remember if that. I think they gave it back to Orange because he was going to face Moxley initially, for the belt again, and so
Orange got kayfabe injured, in his ribs and his hand and everything. So it's kind of like a cursed belt. You're going to get injured. No?
Don't say that. MJF has it right now, and so did Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay had that belt. How are you going to say the cruiserweight belt is more, not cruiserweight, what's it called? Continental Classic. No. I say no to that.
Yeah, especially with Ospreay, MJF, you said, Moxley. Yeah, okay. I think the American title is number 2. You agree? You disagree? Let us know. What's the number 2 belt in AEW?
And if you disagree, you're wrong.
So where was that? Number 3, MJF. Number 2, same spot as last week. Bryan Danielson, who of course won the Owen Hart Cup tournament. to get the title shot at All In on the 25th. And number 1, he has been there for months, the world champion, Swerve Strickland. So, number 1, Swerve. Number 2, Bryan Danielson. Number 3, MJF. Number 4, Darby Allin. And number 5, Katsuyori Shibata. And lastly, we have the top 5 teams. And as we discussed earlier, the tag and the trios team scenes have been
Weird.
kind of weird lately, yeah. Neither champion, the Young Bucks with the tag belts and the Patriarchy with the trios belts, neither of them has been defending their titles. And we had a number 1 contender match for the trios that was a draw. The Acclaimed are number 1 contenders and finally getting their shot tomorrow night after like a month. So it's a weird teams picture right now, but we tried to parse it out for you. Number 5, back in the rankings, they got a win over the Outrunners on Collision. FTR. They've been on a pretty good winning streak. It may end up getting a title shot at All In. Who knows? Maybe All Out. We'll see. Number 4, former World Trios champions. Maybe number 1 or 2 contender for the Trios belts. The Bang Bang Gang. Juice Robinson and the Guns. One of my favorite trios teams. I love Juice Robinson. He has so much like passion and fun when he's wrestling. One of my favorites in AEW. What?
When I was putting my opinions in for our top 5,
Yeah.
I totally forgot about the main event of Collision with House of Black and the Bang Bang Gang. I was like, they didn't wrestle, but yes, they did. Oops.
Do we need to change?
No, we're fine.
It's
we're
too
fine.
late to
It's too
change
late.
now.
It's too late. We're moving on.
Wow, okay.
Sorry, guys.
Also,
Because it was a draw. I didn't circle anything.
you put Mariah May twice.
I know, I saw that.
But anyways, you need
Hard
to
week.
concentrate.
I'm
You need
back
to
at
take more
school. I'm
time.
back at school. It's my school brain.
Number 3, former World Trios champions, and again they fought for the number 1 contendership on Collision this week. Back in the top 5, the House of Black, another of my favorite trios teams. Just great. I mean, Buddy Matthews, Brody King, Malachi Black. What a varied team as far as their offense and their looks and their sizes even.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. One of my favorite trios teams of all time, honestly.
We got Brody King.
So what? Where are you pointing? Oh yeah. Got a Brody King autograph picture right there, which we got in one of the All Elite crates. They send you one autograph picture every crate, so that's pretty cool. Three of these back here. Ruby Soho, Brody King, and Powerhouse Hobbs we got from the crate. And we also got Sky Blue, but she didn't make the wall. Teams. Number 2, they only teamed once. It was on... What was it on? Collision?
Oh, you haven't said the team yet.
Oh. Darby Allin and Hologram.
It was on Collision.
They beat the Premier Athletes, yeah. And like I said, only a one-time team, but Hologram is so impressive. And like I said, they won their match, so they're up there number 2. Cool tag team. Maybe they'll stay together. I don't know. Hologram should be a singles guy, I think. Just again, if you haven't seen him wrestle, he's undefeated, and he has done some truly amazing things. Formerly Aramis in AAA, right?
Mm-hmm.
But now he's Hologram. He is singles and tag combined. He's 4-0 in AEW. And like I said, just
Stellar.
if you like luchadors and high flyers, and you've not seen him after we end the show in a minute here, definitely make sure just go and watch a Hologram match. I would say Hologram versus the Beast Mortos if you can find it. I don't know, but try and find a Hologram match. The guy is outstanding.
Agreed.
Number 1 team this week, they were number 2 last week, is OFTR, Orange Cassidy and FTR. And they won a match at Dynamite over the Beast Mortos, Roderick Strong, and Roosh, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's a strange team. Like I said, it's kind of strange rankings. Neither of the tag or trios champions in it. But as we said a minute ago, they haven't been focusing on the teams' divisions too much lately. So that's number 1, OFTR. Number 2, Darby Allin and Hologram. Number 3, the House of Black Trios team. Number 4, the Bang Bang Gang. And number 5, FTR. So FTR on there as a tag team at number 5 and as a trios team with Cassidy at number 1. So, folks, that is the show for this week. I told you it was going to be shorter, but we talked a lot about a lot of different things.
Yes, we did.
So hopefully you enjoyed it. I enjoyed talking to you. I know I went off on a lot of different directions a couple times, but I don't know, just some things sparked my mind tonight. No, I wanted to kind of address them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all. So hopefully you enjoyed my rants. Next week, as I said, we are trying to keep the show tighter. I think really we want it to be like an hour and a half, 2 hours long. I know 2.5 hours is a long time for a video podcast or an audio podcast. Hopefully you enjoy us. I think we're engaging for the whole time, but like I said, we want to get it shorter and tighter. We know you have things to do. So next week, like I said, we're going to really aim for like an hour and a half, 2 hours. From now on, that's what we're going to do. All right, what do we got coming up? Tomorrow night, Dynamite. Good show. Several really good matches.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure we're going to do a watch along, and I think our man Wolf is going to join us.
Yeah.
I'm also going to invite Dylan from Last Week in Wrestling. He's not been with us in a while. We would love to have him back.
Mm-hmm.
Really funny guy. If you've not visited Last Week in Wrestling, check it out. Funny guy with some good opinions on pro wrestling. And on Friday, we're watching Rampage. We may do a watch along. Watch for an announcement on our X account, which is at No Bones Wrestling. That's at No Bones RASSLIN.
Or you can subscribe on YouTube and turn on your notifications, and it'll let you know anytime we decide to do a watch along, because sometimes it's a last minute decision. That way you don't miss any notifications.
Exactly. And Saturday night, of course, Collision coming up. Another one I think we'll do a watch along, but it's a couple days away. I'm really not sure, honestly. So again, watch our X account for the Rampage and Collision announcements. And like I said, I think we're definitely going to do Dynamite tomorrow night. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And as I said, tonight we're going to film the All Elite Crate unboxing, and look for that on YouTube tonight, a little later tonight or tomorrow. So thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, whether you're live or watching us listening after the fact. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. We love you. Spread the show around. If you know people who like AEW, tell them about it. And again, thanks to people in the chat. Antonio, RB065. Thank you very much for talking. We love talking wrestling with people. So yeah, everybody feel free to participate if you're going to be nice. I had to kick somebody out tonight because they weren't nice, but it's the internet. I can't believe that hasn't happened yet. So again, thanks for being with us. This is No Bones About Wrestling, presenting AEW Weekly, and we will see you next Tuesday for AEW Weekly. Next Tuesday at 7 p.m. And as Mick Foley would say, have a nice day.
Bye.
Bye.